You are live on 98.9 Northwest FM, and this is the Tuesday Review. I'm Nathan.
I'm James.
And I'm Callum.
And we are joined by a very special guest tonight, our resident Harry Potter expert from 2 years ago, Alex.
Hello.
Blast from the past for any listeners.
A deep cut for our listeners.
Yeah, deep cut.
Like I said before the show, though, this is technically a magical movie, so it holds.
There's a wizard.
There is a wizard, so we thought we'd better invite Alex.
Yeah. Expert on wizards right here.
Yeah. So we're talking Shazam tonight, but first, there's a little housekeeping that James is going to do.
To reiterate from last week, links to the social media are in the podcast description. I've also added my personal Instagram account that I've started. It's at Channel Drifter. You can follow me there. I post every time I watch a movie, so it's like a catalogue of every...
It's probably non-stop.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't had time to put too much so far because I've been binging a lot of TV and still trying to finish Tomb Raider. But every time I watch it, it's like a catalogue of all the movies I'm watching. So follow me there at Channel Drifter. Also, last week we talked about every time we mention a certain movie that shall go unnamed, there will be an alarm sound. So I edited in the blockade runner alarm, and it seemed to work pretty well for the podcast. So yeah, every time we mention that movie, the alarm will sound, but only for once an episode. Like, it won't be every time we mention the movie. So
That'll be non-stop.
Yeah, the first time we mention it in the episode, we'll do the alarm as the joke, and then that's it. We won't do it every time we talk about it, but we talk about it every week, so there'll be an alarm a week. It's kind of like Shazam. You can't say it without him transforming, so I can't say it without the blockade runner alarm starting, so I'm not going to say it.
We can talk about the movie, just don't drop the name.
Yeah. Alex is like, what the hell's going on? Also, last week we talked about the podcast being the definitive version of the show. So, there's not really a lot of live listeners. We did have one live listener last week, Ryan Johnson himself, who tried to message in, but unfortunately the station's text line is not working. So if you are a live listener,
sorry, Ryan.
Message us on our Tuesday Review Facebook page, and we'll hopefully get to that message sometime during the show. But yeah, like I said, the podcast is the definitive version of the show, so that'll have, obviously the blockade runner alarm sound and will be a more polished version of the show. But yeah, hopefully we'll hear from Ryan again in the future. So Shazam. We'll start off with no spoilers, but we'll get to spoilers very, very quickly.
So
you guys want to go first?
Yeah. Well, it was directed by David F. Sandberg of Lights Out and Annabelle Creation Theme. And I have to say, I didn't know he was behind those movies. This movie, I liked Lights Out as much as the next person, but this film is a step up.
Yeah.
Like, he really bought his A game.
For someone who's known for two horror, lower budget horror movies, yeah, it's a really good...
A bit of a transition.
Yeah, and he does a really good job.
Lights Out was a very good movie. Annabelle Creation, not so much. But Lights Out was actually a really good film.
I haven't seen it.
It's good.
But I think that the danger is when you take a small director, and I know he's a big director in the sense that his films made a lot of money. Lights Out was pretty well acclaimed for a horror movie.
It was very small budget.
But yeah, when you take a guy like that and you suddenly give him $1 gazillion to make a superhero movie,
there's
a risk.
Usually the wheels fall off pretty quickly. As we found out with a certain Star Wars
that's not what I wasn't referencing that
You guys
movie.
talking about Solo? Is that the one?
I wasn't referencing...
Sit close.
I mean, Lloyd and Miller, everyone's like, oh, they'll do great, Lego movie, and then it's like, ooh, let's get Ron Howard.
I know, I wasn't referencing that movie.
But I think it's still inapt.
Yeah. I wasn't worried because if you've been listening to the show, I knew it was going to be an absolute banger from the get-go. But knowing that he was behind those films, good job, dude.
And Alex is probably sitting here thinking, how did they get to that movie really so quickly? How did the references to a certain movie, which we won't talk about, come out of the gate quickly?
I feel it's just like, you can't hold it back.
Oh, believe me, you have no idea. But
No, it comes up every episode.
no, but that
and-
was a good point though. Like that was.
It was a good point.
Yeah. In that case, it actually made sense.
But it's also like James Wan did it, who directed the Saw films, but then
That's-
later directed the Fast and Furious franchise. But he's had a few more films, I suppose.
yeah, like that's what I was gonna say as well. Like you can see some of David Sandberg's horror chops come through in Shazam.
And they do it really well without muddying the waters of the movie.
But I think like James Wan, who then did Aquaman, and Aquaman is just not that good of a movie at all. Whereas Shazam is a legitimately good movie.
I liked Aquaman.
I
thought it was underwater Black Panther. There was nothing wrong with it.
I made the personal choice not to see Aquaman,
It's not worth it.
but I can
Yeah,
respect
I
the
also-
people that
It's
have
just,
seen
it's
it.
just Black Panther that takes place underwater, and like Aquaman is Killmonger for part of it. And that's all the plot is.
If it goes to Netflix or Stan, maybe I'll give it a watch.
It'll probably end up on Netflix. or
Oh,
something
we got a
soon enough.
message from Ryan Johnson.
Oh, wow.
He says if you don't talk about it, then we won't hear the alarm. I'm sure at some point it'll come up in the conversation, and I'll edit in the alarm. So Shazam, we all generally really, really liked it. Nathan and I saw it twice. As soon as the third act started, I was like, I'm definitely seeing this movie again.
And it was a really rewarding second watch because we got to see all the foreshadowing
that was
Yeah.
great.
that we didn't pick up going in the first time, which is
Yeah.
really cool.
Yeah. It's standalone, so you don't have to have seen any of the other DC movies or
Thank
any.
God.
Yeah, thank God for that. It's genuinely funny. I laughed at a lot of the jokes and a lot of the humor. The cast is great. I love the chemistry between the characters, especially between Jack Dylan Grazer, who plays Freddy, and Zachary Levi, who plays the adult version of Shazam, the superhero. And the supporting cast is fantastic. Like
really good.
all the kids who play Billy's family are all hilarious.
Very strong.
Yeah.
Pun not intended.
I was surprised because like normally child actors, sometimes they're like good, sometimes they're average.
Yeah.
But all these like
Especially
none of
when
them
you got
gave,
so many of them.
none of them gave like a,
Sometimes they
a
give
dull
immature
performance. So it was like-
performances.
I was like, oh, these are solid performances. I left going good.
Yeah.
Yeah, everything was pretty well acted.
Yeah. Mark Strong as the villain is really great.
I love Mark Strong.
He's
I can't
great.
get enough.
He's great in everything.
I didn't realize he would be the villain. I didn't know who the villain was going into this film because
Yeah.
he only appears in like the last trailer or something.
The trailer doesn't really illustrate.
Yeah, and I was like, oh sweet, it's Mark Strong's the villain. I am in.
Yeah.
I mean, he's one of those actors that
He's a chameleon.
He's a chameleon. And he's refused to be typecast as a villain or a hero. He can do either well,
Oh,
Yeah.
he's played a lot of villains.
but he's also played a few good heroes.
Yeah.
Yeah, Melon
Like-
was pretty rad.
Yeah, he was good in Kingsman,
Yeah.
and he's done a lot of English TV,
Yeah.
a lot. And I love him whenever I see
Yeah.
him. I'm just
No,
like,
he's
Mark
great.
Strong's in it. Automatically gets a few extra points.
Yeah.
I feel like I feel like it's both a safe choice and it wasn't a safe choice at the same time. Because like there are so many there's cooler bad guys in Shazam's catalog, but
Yeah. I mean,
they chose an option that was kind of safe to like explain on screen because it's just we'll go into it. But
Yeah.
he's pretty simple as a character.
Yeah.
But they really gave him a twist that I liked. In the comics, if I'm wrong, he can just see magic out of his eye and
Well,
he's super smart.
Maybe we won't go into his powers.
we won't.
Yeah,
know-
but
yeah.
they gave it a twist that made it gave him more of
Yeah.
a unique feeling.
They took, like great superhero movies do, they take what's been established in 50 plus years of comic book history and they distill it and remix it into
Yeah,
a really cool blockbuster action version for a movie.
One thing I will say before we move on real quick is they did it in a way that felt complementary to the character, like Cable in Deadpool 2.
Yeah.
Where they take the character, they change it a bit, but they kind of make it so it's easier to interpret for the screen.
Yeah.
And I think it succeeded with Mark
He's
Strong's
a good
character.
villain. I like the design of the Shazam suit, the superhero costume. I think that looks really cool. Some people have been complaining about the pacing and length of the movie.
Yeah,
I disagree.
I agree with that.
Really?
I didn't. There was parts of it, like there's the opening, and then there's like that montage of like learning to use the powers. Like you see part of it in the trailer,
Yeah.
and then to me it kept going, and then it kept going, and like I get that it's leading to this like emotional confrontation later on, but the emotional confrontation starts actually about halfway through that montage, if not 3/4 of the way, I feel like it just dragged on too long, and I actively started looking at what the time was.
Oh, wow.
Because I was
See,
like, this has been so long. I've only been watching this film for an hour, and there's an hour left of this. But then the third act kicked in, and like Mark Strong and Shazam met, and I was like, yeah, I'm good. But it was just that bit before that I felt dragged on too long.
I don't see that at all.
I didn't really feel that. To me, it felt. I mean, you could tell there were different acts going on. It wasn't like it wasn't as seamless as some films, but it felt pretty comfortable to me.
Yeah, having seen it twice, even the second time where I knew everything that was happening, I was on board 100% of the time. Especially like people have been saying the first 20, 30 minutes before Shazam actually shows up are too slow.
Oh, no, those were fine.
I disagree.
Yeah,
It's like everything. I think this movie is perfect length, perfect pace.
I agree with James in this movie. I didn't have a problem with the pacing at all.
Yeah, I don't understand that criticism. It's the best DC. I don't like calling it the DCEU because I think it's dumb. But to make my point, the DCEU movies, this is easily the best.
DCEU?
Extended
DCEU.
universe.
Extended universe.
Because it includes their TV shows, unlike the Marvel Cinematic Universe, which doesn't.
And also, they can't. I guess they didn't want to call it the DCCU.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, like the bar for the DC movies is so low that even a halfway decent movie would be just, in comparison, relatively, it would be great. Now, Shazam is legitimately a genuinely good movie.
It is.
It's not just good in comparison to the other DC movies. It is the best DC movie. It is a good standalone superhero movie, even in comparison to the Marvel films.
That's not to be taken lightly, because we don't mind hating on a DC movie.
Oh yeah. I would be like, I thought the movie would be good, but I would be down to hate this movie if it was bad.
I felt like it was a good change of pace from, like, ever since The Dark Knight did well, they've all been going for that gritty...
Yeah.
Zack Snyder screwed everything up when he made Man of Steel a Batman movie.
But with...
The foundations for the DCEU are rotten, and they need to completely move away from them.
They start when Superman taps Todd's neck.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like Wonder Woman wasn't quite that gritty, and so was Aquaman. Aquaman was like, especially towards the end, it had that comic book element, and I think they've just gone, fuck it.
Yeah.
Let's go back to comic booky elements.
Yeah, I think they've realized that they can't do the dark, depressing, like gritty, semi-realistic version of their cinematic universe.
The only reason Christopher Nolan got away with it is he's a genius, and it was the first of... That was pretty much the first of its kind.
One, it's Batman, so gritty and realistic kind of goes with the character, and two, it's a self-contained trilogy that doesn't need to lead into a cinematic universe. So when Zack Snyder came in and said, I love Batman, and Warner Brothers said Dark Knight trilogy did so well, let's just do that, and then he tried to make Superman that, it doesn't work, especially when you have to build the foundations for your cinematic universe.
It goes without saying that Batman and Superman are very different thematically.
Exactly.
I didn't like The Dark Knight and The Dark Knight. Like,
I
didn't like them as Batman films.
Get out now.
They were too dark. Batman goes around
dark?
After all Christopher Nolan
breaking people's
too
spines
dark.
and shit.
After all Christopher Nolan has done for our community,
Too dark?
Yeah, they were too dark. I stand by this comment.
Have you read a Batman comic from the
Okay,
80s onward?
But I don't care for this super grittiness. Like, if I wanted this super grittiness, I'd watch Watchmen.
So, how do you feel about the Adam West TV show? Is
Fantastic.
that
No, but I grew up watching the Batman animated series, which isn't that dark.
It's pretty dark for a kids show.
But it's not gritty. There's a difference between the grittiness of the Dark Knight show, like the Dark Knight films, where Batman's, basically hospitalizing people. Oh no, he's not killing everyone, but that man is not getting up.
Look,
That's true.
I'll say
but there
this.
is a line.
I'll say this. The Dark Knight trilogy is amazing and I love it.
They're good films.
But
I just don't like them as Batman
No,
films.
and I think they're good Batman films. But I think after those trilogy, move on to perhaps a more adventurous, a more comic booky style that you would like.
Yeah.
I agree with that. The DCEU should not be trying to keep replicating the Dark Knight forever. They should be taking more from the comics and the animated series and like making a more sort of adventurous Batman, more comic booky Batman.
Yeah.
How about we have more of a detective-y Batman as well?
Yeah, that's what I want. That's what I want.
That's apparently Matt Reeves' upcoming...
apparently that's what the soul, which we'll talk about later in the show. So, yeah, what I like about this movie as well is it has this really great kind of sense of hope, and it has the spirit of what these superheroes should
It's a sense of wonder. It's
Yeah.
a sense of
And I think
optimism.
This is the best Superman movie since the original Superman movie. Like, it invokes that childlike sense of wonder, and it represents a hero how a hero should be.
The amount of times he gets up again, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
He doesn't just
doesn't
just lay
give
there
up,
and
yeah.
mope and be like, "Oh, I need to go back to my Batcave." Or
Yeah. And
well,
there's
not that
dramatic-
Batman does mope around, but
There's dramatic.
Batman mopes around.
Yeah,
his whole
he's
thing.
very mopey. That's his whole thing. There's dramatic tension.
his lair is a cave.
Yeah. There's dramatic tension, and there's bits where the character doesn't believe he can continue on, but he always picks himself up and dusts himself up and tries again, and that's what great heroes do. And there aren't like extended scenes of people being depressed all the time, and that's what we want to see from these films. So yeah, that's pretty much it for non-spoilers. There's a mid-credit scene and an after-credit scene, so obviously stick around. I guess.
I missed the after credit scene. I didn't know it was a thing.
Oh my!
I saw the
God.
mid credit one, and
This
I was
is
like,
why-
"What the hell is going on here?" And then I didn't see the after credit one.
This is why I mention it on the show, because people just get up and walk out.
It's not a
I'm like,
Marvel film. Why
Yeah,
would
it's
I
like
stick around?
people think it's not Marvel, so they walk out. I'm like, it's a superhero movie. Of course, it's gonna
most
be
most
fun.
DCEU films, I'm racing to get out of that cinema. You better believe it. I'm on a dead sprint.
The mid-credit scene is somewhat important.
Yeah,
Yeah.
But
very.
the after-credit scene is just a gag.
The after credit scene is like a deleted scene from the movie.
Yeah.
You can miss that one without. I'm pretty sure someone posted online already.
Oh,
anyway,
okay,
so-
probably.
can we spoil the end credit scene?
No,
Or-
not now.
Later.
Okay.
So do you guys want to mention anything else for non-spoilers?
No, I think we covered all the bases. It's a good Christmas movie. It's a good movie in general.
Yeah, it takes place during
It's
Christmas.
it takes place during Christmas. It's good. Go see it.
Yeah, it's a really.
Is it a better Christmas movie than Die Hard? Or
No,
No.
Die Hard is the best Christmas movie.
No, obviously not.
I mean, but it includes.
I take
more
that
Santa.
back. I take that back.
does.
Jingle All the Way is the best Christmas movie.
That's an argument for another show, and it's one that we should investigate at some point.
We'll do a Jingle
Christmas-
All the
next
Way
Christmas
episode. But yeah, I highly recommend this movie if you like superhero movies. This is
Real
a
superhero movies.
Yeah, this is a really good superhero movie, and it's the best Captain Marvel movie that came out this year.
It's also one of the.
Oof. Big oof.
Look, it
Yeah,
is,
yeah.
but that's not to
Also-
say that Captain Marvel is bad. Haters gonna hate.
Even if you're not into superhero movies, this is actually a good family movie as
Yeah,
well.
it's a
in
good
the sense that,
comedy.
like, it's got a lot going for it. Even if superheroes aren't your thing, it's just a good film all around.
Yeah.
Yeah. Although there were parts where I was like, why the hell is this? What is going on in this? I don't know. This is a kid's film?
Oh yeah, we'll talk about that now. So we'll go into full spoilers. If you haven't seen Shazam, this is a major spoiler warning. Yeah, so spoiler warning from now on. We're going to spoil everything. Spoilers.
We got another message from Ryan.
Oh, did we?
It says that his favorite Christmas movie is Home Alone.
Okay.
Yeah,
That
fair
is
enough.
incorrect. It is Muppets Christmas Carol.
I assumed it would be the Star Wars Holiday Special.
I assume that
'Cause
too.
he
Dude,
apparently
fun
has
fact.
bad taste.
That has a higher. I don't know if it's a meter score or on Tomato score, but that has a higher rating. The Star Wars Christmas Special
Yeah.
has a higher rating than that other movie we're not going to name. Did you,
I believe that.
how?
Probably just people tanking it.
Yeah, that's true.
The internet is a thing nowadays.
Review bombing, yeah.
They turned it off for Captain Marvel, but, because they were like, hey, this film hasn't come out yet. Please leave it alone.
Yeah.
Which is fair.
Yeah. that's-
So, to continue on from what Alex was saying about how it's a bit dark for a children's movie. I feel like children's movies used to be kind of dark.
They've always
when they
been
needed
dark.
to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I feel like maybe have children's movies got softer?
No, I
Definitely.
would argue that a lot of the hardness in children's movies is actually from, depending on what sort of children movie you watch. I watch a lot of kids' films from like the 90s and stuff.
Yeah.
Out of nostalgia reasons mostly.
Yeah, no.
There's a lot of death in them.
Nostalgia. I watch it because I like 'em.
I watched Atlantis: The Lost Empire earlier today.
Oh, that's
actually.
a good movie.
And Rock straight up just gets cut up and exploded. The old man dies. Kira dies. They make they make reference to being up a particular creek with and without a paddle. Actual line in the film. And so they there's like a lot of darkness. Like, but like you've got stuff like Shrek, which is all like adult humor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, cartoons and kids' movies have always had adult humor.
Yeah.
But, like, there's a darkness or a violence level in Shazam that I really liked that you wouldn't see from most kids' movies in the last 10, 20 years.
Yeah.
Whereas in the pre-90s, 80s, 70s, you'd see more of that darkness, I
And
think.
a lot of the darkness, at least from my recollection, a lot of those the sort of dark elements in kids' movies was a lot in 2D animation, more than
Yeah.
so much 3D animation.
Yeah, and especially not
Well,
in live
3D
action.
animation is
Well, I
more
mean,
recent.
let's be
so-
honest, but Labyrinth was pretty dark, and that
Yeah,
was kind
like
of-
stuff like
Oh,
that.
shit.
Like,
Oh, I forgot the Labyrinth was a kids' film. Yeah.
yeah, exactly.
Sorry, I forgot about
Dark,
that.
Dark Crystal is terrifying.
I forgot those are kids' films.
See, I think this we always talk about how why can't action movies or movies in general be like they were in the 90s?
Yeah.
Maybe we need to start with a humble children's movie.
Exactly.
And then
And-
build
and
our way up.
This is one of the reasons I really like Shazam is because it feels like a 90s movie.
It does, and we got another text message from Ryan Johnson saying,
Yeah.
obviously I haven't seen it, James, regarding the holiday Christmas special. Because he doesn't
he
watch
hasn't
Star
seen
Wars
any of
movies.
them, apparently. Actually, that's the one he would watch. He wouldn't watch anything. That's the one he would watch.
And that's why he
that and
thinks
the
Star Wars
prequels.
sucks.
He'd watch the prequels and then skip the original
Yeah.
trilogy.
And watch
that-
the holiday special.
And that's why he thinks Star Wars is bad.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, we figured it out. We have to...
But yeah, so I think it's good that Shazam was dark. I think,
Yeah, and
again,
that's-
when I say I don't want children's movies to be Saw, you know,
No. It's not that dark.
It's just a cut. You wake up and there's just a stuffed toy chained in a dark room, and it's like
But I
the
think-
stitches down the front. You know what you have to do.
but I think that we need to have an edge
Yeah.
to movies because that allows us to make more dangerous movies for all brackets. And I
Yeah.
know that's a strange thing to say. It sounds strange
It's-
coming out.
It's...
I think it's also partially because of the people who are making a lot of the kids' film nowadays.
Because the safe options, right?
Yeah, Disney will always go with the safe option,
Yeah.
and they are the biggest producer of kids' films at the moment.
Yeah.
And if you guys see Kubo of the Two Strings,
Yes.
yeah, that was slightly dark. That had parts of it had an edge
Yeah.
to it that I wouldn't find in a Disney
Well,
film.
most of Leica's films... Have you seen all the other films?
No,
Like,
I've only seen Kubo. I
Okay.
really wanted to watch the others. I just haven't had the
yeah,
time.
like Paranorman and Coraline especially.
Oh, Coraline
Well,
is
it's
super
super
dark.
dark.
To be fair, Coraline is that's source material greatness.
Yeah,
So.
but
Yeah.
even then, that's like super dark. But yeah, anyway, like Shazam, I think, and like we were saying, the director's horror chops come through in some sequences. That it's like it's a good like feel good '90s Christmas adventure movie.
Yeah.
Which I
That-
wouldn't have expected going in.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that also happens to be a 2019 superhero movie. You know, like it's really well done, and it gives that sense of wonder that a lot of the DC movies have been lacking. Especially like the score by Benjamin
Yeah.
Wallfish. Like, it has this really great like Star Warsy kind of action adventure kids, 90s kids adventure movie kind of thing to it.
I still think it was pretty forgettable.
Look-
A lot of them don't have memorable, but admittedly, it's the suffering of the superhero genre. None of them have a
yeah,
memorable
it's-
score.
To be fair, a lot of people probably don't even really notice the soundtrack.
Yeah.
So I'm one of those people, and that's my bad. But there's only two soundtracks that I think are really memorable, and that's Interstellars and Blade Runners. And that's my bad.
And the
I'm
original
sure that-
Star Wars.
Yeah, but I'm sure there are hundreds of really great soundtracks, but I forget soundtracks pretty quickly.
Jurassic Park?
Yeah,
I mean,
I can't.
all John Williams ever.
Like, it's cheating if you reference John Williams,
yeah,
I feel.
exactly.
Or Hans Zimmer to an extent. It's
Yeah,
just,
I remember thinking some of the songs or movements in Shazam were really nice.
Yeah.
but I can't really remember.
Yeah,
Yeah.
But I think when you watch most of these superhero movies, the score is just there. Whereas here, it did service the overall 90s sense of
Yeah.
wonder, action, even if overall it wasn't exactly memorable.
Yeah.
Especially relatively when you compare it to other superhero movies, it's a lot better.
I mean, it did better than Suicide Squad jumping through popular
yeah.
songs every
10
5 seconds.
yeah.
And it's like, all right,
10 songs
change
in a
song.
second. Oh, they're in...
It's like, oh, we get it. You have the rights to this.
Yeah.
Please leave us alone now.
But yeah, like there's even the bit where Shazam flies away, and a little girl just comes from off frame, and she just looks up with this big like, oh my god, like the the Spielberg face.
Can you believe that?
You know, like jaw dropped. You know, and she looks up as he flies away, and that's what's been missing from a lot of superhero movies.
Same sort of scene happens when there's like a fight at the end and a boy is playing with toys.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And it's the same sort of scene. He flies off, and the boy's just looking up with wonder on his face.
Yeah, there's a little boy with Batman and a Superman action figure, and he's like fighting them. And then he sees in the background the villain and Shazam are actually fighting. He's like, whoa. Yeah, and the movie obviously takes a lot of inspiration from Big. So, you know, obviously Billy, the kid turning into Shazam, the adult superhero, but and, you know, having to deal with that. But yeah, it all ties into the whole overall like adventure film feeling.
And it's like, that sort of old school aspect lends itself well to comedy. Obviously, the boy turning into a man sort of aspect is fun to play with.
This movie's so funny.
I love the fact that he's like, wait a minute, I'm an adult, and he goes to buy beer. Of course, it's like how old are they? Like they're like
14.
what?
14.
Yeah, I'm like, of course. And they hate it.
Yeah, they like drink it and then they spit it out, and it's like this tastes like actual
and then
vomit.
They go back in, they buy like lollies.
Yeah, it's like hard cuts, and they've got like gone back and bought a whole bunch of chips.
And then he like hollers at some lady who passes.
Yeah, so hey, we're basically the same age. We should hang out. It's so good. The strip club joke is pretty on point. Like it's pretty funny. Especially when
they were very convincing.
When they, especially when they like go back to it later in the movie.
Think about anywhere else. Yeah. It's like the strip club, as you said, they talk about the humor, like even the names that they come up with for like the superhero that is Shazam,
Zapped in America,
Captain Sparkle Thinkers, Thundercrack.
There were just so many, and I feel like every time they referenced him, it was just a different name. They didn't call him
the Red Cyclone.
Just a different.
The Red Cyclone? Did they really call him the Red Cyclone?
Yeah,
I think they did.
Several times.
As in the Marvel? The DC.
No, DC. It's like Red Tornado and stuff.
Yeah.
But I guess that's because like Billy can't say Shazam without turning into Shazam. So he can't call himself Shazam, which I'm hoping in later films they address that he only transforms when he wants to. Because that'd be pretty weird if he could never say...
Just casually drop I'm Captain Marvel and walk out.
But yeah, like... So they give him all the different names. I like the bit where the convenience store's getting robbed and they're like, shoot him and it bounces off.
Does
it's like,
you're
bulletproof. And they're like,
bullet immunity.
Yeah, it's like, shoot him in the face.
I love that half second of like almost panic.
Yeah.
When they're like, shoot him in the face, and
like,
Billy's like, wait a second.
If you don't know if it's the suit that has the
because they're like, for a second
him.
they're unsure. It could be the suit.
Yeah, it could
Or it could just be like in general invulnerability. And it's like, wait a second, and it gets shot in the face. It's like, oh, it's all right, go ahead.
If you haven't seen the movie, his suit is red, but Zachary Levi, who is from Chuck, famous from Chuck, he got swole. He actually did get a little swole.
Yeah.
But there's a little bit of padding in that suit.
Some of it's padding, but
there's an amount of it that's padding to give him like this truly like comic book human body.
I saw a photo of him, and he is pretty buff.
Yeah, he's jacked.
So
that's put him on the Marvel diet.
That's pretty cool. Which they couldn't do.
The DC diet.
Which they didn't do.
It's not as good, but
the DC not as good. You eat less, but
that's why
fun.
Wonder Woman wasn't as good as it could be. If you remember.
Oh my god, you're such an incel.
Yeah. All I want is my Wonder Woman to be buff. Is that so hard?
You know, Gal Gadot is Israeli, so she's technically part of the armed forces. So she's pretty much the only actor who plays a superhero who could probably kill someone.
Yeah, but if you look back to our old Man vs. movie reviews, the Tomb Raider, the cutness was good. That's what I don't want Arnold Schwarzenegger in a wig to be I'm Wonder Woman.
Actually,
I retract that. I do want that, but. That's we'll derail that conversation for another day.
And some of the comedy, continuing from our point, was sort of leaning towards adult comedy, like with the strip club and the part where he's talking with the last wizard, and he asks him to place his hand on his stuff, and Billy's like, gross. It's just like on point. And
I like the hands, lightning from my hands. It's like on the rocky steps.
There's a few acknowledgements and head nods to Rocky in this movie, which I like
'Cause
as
the
a Rocky fan.
movie takes place in Philadelphia.
I found out that most of it was shot in Toronto, and my heart broke a little.
That's
That's
really
every movie.
Yeah,
though.
I know it's every movie.
That's
but
every
it's
movie,
like,
but
oh.
it's still disappointing.
Every movie's
Yeah.
either shot in Louisiana,
Or Vancouver.
Atlanta, or Toronto,
Sydney.
or Sydney. Yeah,
Yeah. Or if you're Nicolas Cage, apparently Melbourne.
yeah.
Ghost Rider and Knowing filmed in
So
Melbourne.
in terms of so Alex, what did you like the most in terms of the adventurous stuff? Because we were talking before the show, and there were a few scenes that you thought were well done.
Yeah, I did like a lot of the I felt like it had good tension at points, and there was like this decent build up to like what was happening, and like it does follow the hero's journey sort of thing, but not quite. And I'm sick of seeing the hero's journey a lot, but
It follows a standard formula, but I think it does enough unique and fun things that it doesn't become stale.
Yeah, see, the learning about his powers thing I really enjoyed seeing.
And then it's too much.
Then it became, we get it, he doesn't know how to fly yet. But it's just like, I'm like, come on, do it. Like, we know, stop dropping him, stop doing these things. Just set him going, you got this.
I mean, you know,
good job, buddy.
You know it's going to happen eventually, but also if he didn't do it, then he'd just like jump off the floor and start flying.
Then
and
we
you'd
end up
be-
with a race situation.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I
From
think
a movie
a
we
good,
talk about tonight.
From
good-
two movies we won't talk about.
a good equivalent would be. Did you watch Spider-Verse?
Yeah, I watched most of Spider-Verse. I don't think I've seen it all yet.
Oh, what?
Oh, man.
Oh
Yeah.
man,
Best-
Oh, yeah, but like
It's
the
like
Miles
best
Morales sort
movie
of
of last
learning
year.
from
yeah, I
Peter-
think that's a better learning curve in
Yeah,
Spider-Verse.
yeah.
How
Yeah.
he can't swing properly right away.
Yeah.
That's like the flying equivalent of this
But
film.
he also has like the support system of the other
Yeah.
Spider people.
Like that being said, Spider-Verse is like a masterpiece unto itself.
Yeah.
So I don't
Yeah.
want to muddy the waters here
Yeah.
because
Yeah, no, like I've seen most of Spider-Verse. I think I missed the start. I think my dad was watching it at some point, so I just started watching it.
It's
you
good.
need to get on that.
Yeah. I missed the part where one of the Peter Parkers dies, but not the other one. But
that
I've
narrows
seen
it.
the rest of it, basically. I missed the start. Peter Parker dies, I know this.
No,
they
yeah,
have a
yeah.
funeral.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, okay.
This is an odd start
So
to
the
a movie.
homeless Peter Parker rocks up with
I do agree that they took an. I feel like the learning curve was done for the lols,
Yeah, a lot of stuff was done for the lols, and I don't know how much it added to the story.
but it is more of a children's movie
look,
than Spider-Verse.
It
in that
started to
sense.
set up the emotional tension between Billy and Freddy.
Yeah.
And I really enjoyed that they had that, because like I don't like it when like stuff like this happens and like everyone just sort of brushes it off.
Yeah.
Like it was there, but then at the same time that only happened towards the end of the montage. That only happened like after I sat through, I don't know how long, it felt like a half an hour of montage of Shazam like zapping things, punching things,
I did
apparently
like,
not teleporting.
I did like the phone charging.
Yeah,
Yeah, that
I
was
like the
funny.
bit where he gets set on fire as well. I found that amusing,
Yeah.
where it's like secret fire immunity test. And it was like, oh no.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I found the montages like funny, but also like we were saying, it's like you have to have that struggle. Even if it's a montage, you have to have something where he has to test his limits, and he can't just emerge Superman. He has to,
It has to be like growth.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm not disagreeing with that. I just felt like
Yeah.
that's the
You don't want it's too long, yeah.
yeah.
The other thing that really bothered me is he's just uploading them to YouTube.
Yeah.
And like that really bothers me.
As if
Like,
no one's gonna figure out who's.
he's gonna get a
doing it.
YouTube notification. It's gonna be like, oh, you got 3,000
that
new
could've-
subscribers.
It could
What are
be
you
funny.
doing, buddy?
It could have been funny if that's how the bad guy found him.
Yeah,
You know, like checking the
That's what I was
IPs or whatever.
expecting.
Yeah.
Like-
It would have been funnier if it was like, Facebook or Twitter or something, like checking in at,
Yeah.
like, and
You
then the
have a
bad guy's just like
location.
You have
scrolling
a
through his
friend
phone. He's like,
request?
now I've got you.
You have a friend request from Mark Strong.
Yeah, friend request from Dr. Savannah.
Savannah.
Yeah.
Give me the staff.
Give me- He's like, you won't stop messaging me. It's like, I want your
FaceTiming.
power.
He
Tell me your
slides into
name.
DMs.
Yeah.
Hey, you up? Need
Hey,
those powers.
hey, you up? Need magic.
Need those powers.
Hey, you up? Need that staff. Which would be a really
Yeah,
bad thing to send a 14-year-old.
Yeah.
Gross.
Gross.
Do we get another message from Ryan? I think we did. Oh yeah. Oh no, this is from our listener Elise, who is in direct contact with Ryan Johnson. Apparently, he's staying at her house because she said he was in the kitchen. I don't know. There's a whole backstory to the Tuesday review that you guys don't know about.
One day listeners will learn.
Anyway, Elise says, shout out to the big homage in the toy store when the giant keyboard.
Oh, man, that was so cool.
I like that fight in the toy store where he's just Shazam's throwing soft toys at Dr. Zavanna and they're just bouncing off. And then he grabs the Batman toy and throws it. And it says, I'm Batman.
On my other podcast, I'm on a podcast.
Oh, yeah, plug it.
Mike's Camera Action. I'll give one of you guys a link to post on your socials.
Yeah.
So one of my co-hosts, Carl, was talking about how he loved the immersion of like Batman and Superman into this world. Like, because you've got the toys in the toy store, because they would be huge figures. You've got to admit, like, every kid would know who Batman and Superman is. Yeah. You got Freddy constantly wearing Aquaman, Wonder Woman,
and
Spider-Man. Superman. And on backpacks and like stuff, you get the symbols.
And it's great. And it's great because like companies could sell all this merch, and Superman's not going to sue these companies.
That's what I was going to say.
What's
Batman's not going to sue.
Batman's not going to sue.
What's the
Because they have
legality
to go with
here?
their identities. It's not going to happen. It's free money.
Do you think Bruce Wayne trademarked the bat symbol?
No. But like, what's the legality there? Who's earning money?
Everybody's earning money.
You know
because
what?
it's
Okay,
not copyrighted.
Lex Luthor's earning the money. You can guarantee he owns all those
That's
patents.
true.
He got on that early.
Yeah.
He starts selling Superman shirts. It's like, I hate myself, but boy, are they a money earner.
Isn't this a plot point in Spider-Verse? Where Spider-Man sells the rights to his likeness and like has a Christmas album and
Is there also a cafe?
Dude, you missed the start of the movie.
Missed the
You have
start
to
of the
watch
movie.
it. That's at the start.
There are T-shirts, a Christmas album, like
I remember because Miles Morales is wearing this dodgy-ass kid's costume for Spider-Man's kid's
Spider-Man is,
it's a good earner.
Yeah. But yeah, speaking of the villain, I really like Mark Strong as Dr. Zavanna. Some people have been saying the villain is one-dimensional and crap.
Not at all.
I really like. I especially like how the movie starts with him as a boy and pretty much just sets up his motivation.
Because he's not evil as a boy. The villain in this movie is a meditation on nature versus nurture.
Yeah.
Essentially.
Much like last week's movie.
Much like last week's movie, yeah.
No, but like I think that he starts off as a blank slate, and he's not forced into evil, but he thinks he is. He thinks his path is predetermined by the wizard Shazam, kind of saying he's not worthy. So he's like,
well, and his father.
Yeah, but he's like,
brother.
well, if I'm not worthy, I'll show you how unworthy I am. You know, it's like that. He leans into it.
He was denied magic, and he was told he's never going to be good enough. And he was told he's never going to be good enough by this omnipotent wizard.
Yeah.
And then he's also told that he's never going to be good enough by his dad.
Yeah.
Yeah, who he then puts in a wheelchair because he starts screaming and...
He causes a traffic accident.
His dad is an a-hole, though.
His dad and the older brother are the worst people.
Who played the father?
John Glover.
Yeah, John Glover.
He played a Lionel Luthor in Smallville.
That's where I've seen him.
He's
from.
also in Batman and Robin, and
Who's he in Batman and Robin?
He's the I think he's Poison Ivy's boss or something.
Okay, it's been a while since I've seen him.
He's just a scientist guy.
Man, I love that.
He also voiced the Riddler in the animated Batman animated.
It's been around.
Yeah, I was gonna say he gets around the DC circuit.
Yeah.
The character could have gone two ways. He could have been fine if he'd had a better home life, maybe, or
yeah.
It's.
But I think that's interesting because I should say Billy. Doesn't exactly have the best home life either, and he turned out fine.
But that's later brought up again in like a contrast. Billy brings it up, being like, you know, you got the whole this, but so did I. Like, what the hell, man? Look at you.
Yeah, when
I'm Shazam. Look at you. I'm Shazam.
Zavanna says, I was told I wasn't good enough, and I worked so long to get. And Shazam's like, yeah, I know, I did the same thing. I just didn't become a huge a-hole like you did. I like the 7 deadly sins. I like how they kind of turn into smoke and then use Zavanna as like a host.
Yeah, I did
and then
that.
Then they come out as like creatures.
Also, they're pretty terrifying. Like, I saw them as statues and was like, oh, these dudes are
with
pretty
the red
intimidating.
eyes.
I saw it
before the red eyes glowed. Like, I was like, oh, these statues are pretty intense.
But going back to those sort of that 90s feel we were talking about. That's such a 90s thing, having the sort of rock statues and the red glowing eyes.
It's very Ghostbusters.
That's it. Ghostbusters.
I
was watching. I'm like, that is dank.
Yeah,
I'm like, yes.
I really love the voices there.
Yeah,
the
the
low
deep
grumbling.
gravel.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like, the bit that got me the most about these was gluttony, because you see gluttony taken about, and then like halfway through that, where they're in the Christmas village, you see the chest is open up,
and that's such an underappreciated little scene that you could have missed if you blinked.
Yeah,
and then like his whole body opens up to a giant mouth, and he's like chasing someone.
This is the most terrifying thing in this film.
The movie has a fair bit of horror chops, and obviously that's lending to the credence and the credibility of the director.
Yeah, well, the director brings that, but it's like it's a delicate balance between being a fun kids adventure and then having that darker side.
I think some of the onus of if that's the right word lies with the writing team for this film.
Yeah,
because I feel like the script is pretty tight on this one.
Yeah,
like it's got everything. I mean, the director is an important part.
Yeah,
but with so many of these superhero movies, it's like they put it into an auto generator. It's like that kind of. Let's have 5 attributes in a program, and then it just spits out a script and they film it.
Exactly.
Or in The Last Jedi, they just do one draft and that's it.
Alarm!
Oh no!
No, but you heard about that, right, Alex?
Yeah.
They did. Brian Johnson wrote one draft, and that's what they filmed.
Yeah, no, I did hear about that.
So
he wrote it like at night or something too, something ridiculous, and I'm like, do they? And then you've got like the issue that bothers me. Sorry, the issue that bothers me the most about that,
Alex is one of us.
And then you've got the contrast of Solo, where they hated it so much that they're like stuff years. But I suppose that was also written by the Kasdan, so you got to
that's why I'm confused. That's why I'm confused. Is like Kathleen Kennedy like brought on Lord and Miller and then was like, what are you doing? I'm confused. Let's get Ron Howard, reshoot it all. But then they just let Rian Johnson do whatever the hell
I think part of that was the backlash from Last Jedi.
Oh, okay.
And part of it also was...
So if it was reversed, it probably wouldn't
also
have
part of it is that Lawrence and Jonathan Kasdan were the writers for Solo.
Okay.
And you don't mess with Lawrence Kasdan.
Yeah, true.
Of all the people I want to mess with, it's not the guy who wrote Empire.
Yeah, but then he also wrote Solo.
Solo. There were bits...
It's a bad movie.
No.
It's enjoyable, but stuffs too many references in
Don't worry.
Yeah.
Alex, I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
It's all right.
The best thing about the movie is Childish Landino.
Yeah, I'm sorry, True.
No, even he wasn't that good. Haven't you heard that? Everyone was calling him Childish Landino.
That's the only term we use.
I'm sorry,
proud boy.
So I'm back to my point was the script was really tight.
Yeah, exactly.
So I feel like just as with the 90s elements, the Christmas, how Christmassy it is.
Yeah.
And I know part of that's the director and all that. It's it takes a village to make a movie. But
it's both things working out.
together.
It wasn't just a director elevating a bad script or a good script, elevating a bad director. It was like both working together, which in most movies, not just superhero movies, doesn't always work that way.
Usually the only reason the scripts are pretty good in the MCU is because Kevin Feige keeps a tight ship. He runs a tight ship.
Feige,
Feige.
Yeah.
But DC, they seem to play pretty loose, man. They're like, here's $100 million.
Do.
Here's $100 million. Go make a movie, you crazy
It's
kid.
not just good, it's good enough.
But yeah, the only thing about the 7 Deadly Sins that I like to have them be a bit more distinct.
Yeah,
because they're all the same color. They all.
I mean, they each had a couple of identifying features that set them apart, but they were very much cut from the same mold.
Their design is interesting individually, but
they all looked similar.
Yeah.
It's like that brown CGI color.
I couldn't remember which one was which half the time.
Yeah, I couldn't identify a couple, and then the other ones just all looked the same.
Maybe if they were different colors, that's same build, but different colors to represent.
Yeah, exactly.
Wrath might be red.
Yeah.
Fangor,
Last
was he the winged one? I couldn't tell.
I don't know.
I know Greed had 4 arms.
Greed was 4 arms. Wrath was the really, really big one that Shazam slides under.
The muscly one?
Yeah, the really big muscly one.
Lust could be purple.
Gluttony was obviously the big
mouth.
fat one with the mouth.
Yeah.
Greed.
Ego was the little one.
We didn't see Envy a lot because Envy stayed in
Where was
Savannah.
Sloth at? Just chilling or?
Sloth, I didn't know which one was Sloth.
I don't think Sloth actually appeared. I think they...
Which one?
That could have been a good in-joke.
Oh no, wasn't Sloth inside?
No, that was Envy.
That was Envy
my
because
bad.
that was Thad's basically biggest sin was envy.
Yeah.
He was envious of Shazam. He was envious of.
So essentially that demon could just feed off Savannah and be quite chill.
Yeah.
That was.
Now, speaking of numbers,
7.
there were 6 kids in their 7 wizards.
I don't want to talk about this now because it's going to take us an hour to get through it all. But we'll get to that very soon.
There was one other, and let's leave it at that.
No, we'll talk about that in a second. But yeah, I think one of the moments I really liked from this film is where the bus is falling off the overpass and Shazam saves it. And obviously he's still doesn't know his powers and he's like, so it's kind of awkward and he kind of falls his way,
I like how he
through
puts
it.
the mattress out though.
Yeah, that was funny.
And he's like,
I like how the guy is about to die. He's just like, no.
Yeah.
he's like, oh shit.
But it's like, it's these kinds of moments I like in superhero movies. It's Superman saving the cat from the tree.
It's heroics.
Yeah, it's like, and this is what the DC movies have been lacking for all the movies up until this point, except for maybe Wonder Woman-ish. Where it's like just heroes being heroes, saving people,
Yeah.
I think it's something the Marvel movies do pretty well.
Rather than just like snapping their spines.
Yeah, and just completely
And agonizing over Martha.
destroying entire cities. But yeah, like one of the really cool moments is where Billy jumps off the roof of a building and he's like falling.
Iconic shot.
Yeah, and he's like Shazam, and he like transforms into Shazam. But then I like how he keeps falling for a little bit before he then flies away. I thought that was really cool.
That
Takes
was
a second for the engine to start.
Yeah. I really like the third act when the Marvel family, which I guess are called the Shazam family now.
I've seen him on the internet as referred to as the
Shazamily. I
the
think you
Shazamily,
messaged me and I was like, oh.
Shazamily. Okay.
I guess that works.
I guess so. But yeah, when they showed up, I was like, I love this movie. I have to see it again. Like, because I didn't think they were going to introduce all those heroes at the end of the first movie. But I think it works so well, especially because you've been following the supporting family cast.
And there's a lot of that foreshadowing that we talked about before as well with these with the kids. Like their powers are all based around, I guess, what they would improve on themselves.
True. Yeah, what does Pedro? His goal.
Pedro wants to get swole, so he turns it to the muscles.
His goal is
His
to get
goal
swole.
is to get swole.
Yeah.
So he has the super strength.
That dude obviously has some like padding and that. There's no way that's natural.
Yeah.
Half of them got to have
Shazam version of
the
Pedro.
the Shazamily has to have. Definitely has padding.
You know, Adam Brody isn't that swole.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
It's like,
physically, he can't get that swole.
Yeah. And all the powers are reflections of like who they are as children.
Yeah.
Or their goals.
Yeah.
And I think that's really neat. It's kind of disappointing that they all don't have other powers as well. Maybe that'll get explored later.
Yeah,
on.
I think it's just a kind of just generally each one has a power. One of the problems I have is Mary kind of disappears from the end fight, and it's not really clear what power she has.
Yeah,
if any.
And the only powers she could have, considering what we've seen from the other characters, is wisdom or stamina, right? So it's like, I guess that's hard to show at the end of a fight. But I would have liked a scene.
But you could have the courage of Achilles. You never know.
True. Yeah.
I feel like they could have pulled something out though.
Yeah.
Yeah, like because you don't even see her until like very at the end of that fight.
I remember watching her and like they all deliver voice lines, be like, "I can shoot lightning.
Yeah.
I am flying. Yeah,
Yeah, I'm really
go
fast.
me. I'm really fast. I'm strong." And it's wait, who's the other person?
Yeah, she just disappears.
Wait, who? And then like you go to the group shot. Oh yeah, there's someone else there. Yeah.
And it's the other thing that, like, with that character specifically, I talked about with James after we saw the movie, that she's almost old enough that they could have got her to play.
Yeah, but I think they want to keep it
keep it distinct.
Where it's like when you turn into the Shazam version, superhero version, it's like you're the older version. So if they kept the same actress, it would have been weird. But yeah, I really like the climactic fight. I like the fact that it takes place at like this winter carnival.
And that Father Christmas moment, that Santa Claus.
The Cowardly Santa's hilarious.
Like that sort of, that few seconds of silence, he's like, run! And everybody just runs.
I like how he's like, what does he say? He's like, got the little girl on his knee and he says something like, "I'll always be here for you." And then the ground starts rumbling and he's like,
and I couldn't believe it when he delivered F-bombs at the end of the film.
Oh, yeah, that was my favourite bit. And then you go beep, 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 and there's just Santa.
It was beeping crazy. There's lightning coming. Everyone's beep.
That's so good.
That was good. And I like the classic Ferris wheel save the kids from the top of the Ferris. Like that's every action movie ever has done that. But I just like how it's the centerpiece of the action, and I like how all the characters use their individual abilities to save the people.
I just like how Freddy manages to give them suitcase wedgies.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
was the thing. Like, am I getting a suitcase wedgie?
And I'm kind of glad that the bad guy wasn't Black Adam. Just because I feel like Dwayne Johnson's influence on this movie might have been...
We'll talk about that soon because, yeah, like, I think that's going to be a whole thing. Like, Black Adam solo movie, Black Adam Shazam sequel, like, yeah. But yeah, the one criticism I have of the movie, which is most of these movies, some dodgy CGI at points.
Most of it was pretty good.
Most of it was pretty good, though. I think what I like about this movie is the action... The choreography and the cinematography, it's not spectacular, but it's clear. You know where everyone is, where everyone's going. It's not like a lot of other action movies, a lot of other superhero movies where it's just shaky cam, it's dark, you don't know what's going on. Like, this movie it's really well done in that way, where the action, you tell what's going on. But yeah, there are points where a character will be far away and then fly closer to the foreground, and it's just like the worst kind of transformation Photoshop tool that they...
Look, what's going on, man? I feel like half the time we complain about CGI, it's either in the context of someone flying or falling.
Yeah, it's a hard thing to get right because everything is moving.
Yeah, and any time you have to do like full body CGI for a person, it just never looks good.
Like, God forbid someone uses can't we just have like them laying on a green screen and then animate the environment around them?
They do that sometimes. It doesn't really work out.
No, that looks worse, I think.
Yeah.
It's very obvious. It's like the old school where like you'd have them hanging from a wire and they just this background moving.
Well, some of the funniest bad CG in recent memory has to be Mark Ruffalo in the Hulkbuster suit.
Oh
man.
man! With a movie with that much CGI and that had some of the best CGI I've ever seen, it also has some of the worst CGI I've ever seen.
Just an honorable mention to the Hulkbuster suit.
But it was also Iron Man's head, and like half of those scenes was also really garbage looking. Something about like the suit and someone's head didn't work well.
War Machine's bobblehead.
Yeah, like everything but that like was good, but just the heads and the suits.
I guess they have so much to do, and the CGI, the digital team is like working overtime without pay, and is just like get it done. But yeah, like I think this movie has less of those problems than most of superhero.
Probably because it seems to me that most of it was practical. They didn't need
a lot of it.
They didn't need it. No, I mean, just with how it is, like it's just like big guys running around. It's not like
I can't tell anymore. Honestly, it's hard to tell nowadays.
Is that a good thing?
I think it's a better thing. It's no longer the days of being like, oh, this is CGI.
Yeah,
thanks. Like, you ever seen The Mummy 2?
Dwayne
Johnson CGI is Talking King.
You know what though? Watch Escape Plan 2 and it won't look that bad.
I don't want to now. But yeah, so you've got stuff like Jurassic Park holds up practically.
Oh man.
Because
mixture. You gotta have that mixture.
But that's because there's only like 15 shots that actually have CGI.
Yeah.
Other than that, everything else is...
I mean, but also stuff like The Lord of the Rings, which was a heavy bit of CGI.
Yeah, but
also mixed in the practical really well.
Then,
in comparison to The Hobbit.
I mean,
exactly. That's where you can really see the switch, where it's like... In the originals, Peter Jackson only used CGI when he really had to.
Yeah.
And in Hobbit, he just went overboard.
I mean, that's because, CGI was around when the Lord of the Rings movies came out, but it wasn't as advanced as it is now. And we've talked about this before. When you can do anything, there's no reason to problem solve. There's no... You know what I mean?
With great power comes great responsibility.
Yeah.
Please don't.
No, that's exactly right. Like, we've talked about it so many times.
Yeah.
Like, when you can do anything...
Just because you can do everything doesn't mean
you don't have to make models anymore. You know what I mean? You don't have to make a figurine to film.
Yeah.
You can just have a PS2 looking kind of model on the screen, and that's good enough, everyone.
Yeah.
And it only costs $10 million more than making a figure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Elise says she sent a message. She says Ryan's been sleeping on her couch for weeks because Kathleen Kennedy kicked him out of her guest house. As she should have. For a freeloader.
Well, go back to making indie movies where we can actually love you again.
Before we get into the whole Black Adam overarching Shazam cinematic universe, I want to talk about Billy's mum and his sort of past.
Yeah.
I really like that. I like that flashback where you see him getting lost at the carnival, and the movie ends at a carnival.
I like that two-tone aspect to that scene.
Yeah.
Like when we see it at the start,
See it from his perspective.
it's almost optimistic. It's
Yeah.
like his mum's really loving, they're having a great time at the carnival, and he tragically gets lost.
Yeah.
And then to like contrast that at the end, where
Her
she's like, she's
perspective.
having a really bad time.
Yeah. I
and-
like in his memory of it, she's wearing fluffy white gloves, and in her memory of it, she's wearing like black leather gloves. Like
yeah,
it's
she is
like
too.
it's like a cool like different perspectives of the same event, and how it shaped his life. And I like the compass motif that he won at the carnival, or
Yeah.
that
You'll
his
always
mum.
find your way.
Yeah, it's like it's like you know
that nice
having-
bit of cheese.
Yeah, I love that 90s cheese. Spielberg. But like one thing, like they mentioned Billy's dad's been in prison since pretty much he got lost, and so I wonder if they're going to ever bring that up again.
Oh, because guess who
Mate.
else is in prison at the end of the movie?
Oh.
Oh.
That'd
Yeah,
be
but it's
different prisons.
It's
though.
Florida, man.
Yeah, and
It mentions that he's in prison in Florida.
I'm pretty sure the prisons in Florida are terrible enough that putting Dr. Zavan in there would be apt punishment.
He is legitimately Florida, man.
That's true, but it's just. But I would love that emotional manipulation in the next movie.
Yeah.
If Dr. Savannah's like, I know you're dead.
Yeah.
I got this.
There's a character in the original Captain Marvel or Shazam comics called Uncle Dudley, who starts off as a con man who tries to con his way into the Batson family, and then kind of becomes a lovable kind of sidekick character.
And doesn't he become a Shazam family member as well?
Yeah.
Like, gotta love comics.
I love like Golden Age 1940s comics. But I was wondering, is like they could rework that into Billy's dad being like a con man who comes back from jail and's like son, and then wants to work his way into the foster family trying to get money, and then kind of maybe not gets powers but becomes a sort of sidekick. Or
I think
that might be too complicated.
No, I don't think that sounds that complicated at all. I
But
feel
like
you
with
could
all
set
the
it-
other stuff going on in the sequels.
I feel like you could definitely set it up in like half an
Yeah.
hour. It's
Also,
not hard.
On top of this, I really want them to explore Billy's mother more, because she's obviously in an abusive relationship when Billy
Yeah.
finds her, and he just never goes back to save her. And I was waiting for the moment at the end of the movie where he comes back as Shazam and beats the crap out of his mum's boyfriend, and that never happens. So I'm hoping that the sequel...
That's a bit
address-
heavy for a children's movie, though.
Yeah, like I hope the sequel addresses that, because there's clearly some bad stuff. And even though Billy's moving on from, you know,
But it's a hero thing that he's spotted this, even this like this bad
Yeah,
situation.
exactly. It's like even
and he
though-
can do something about it.
even though symbolically he's moving on from the loss of his mother, and he's got a new family, and you know he's going to go and live his own life, and he's going to stop looking for her. It's like she's still in a bad situation, and he should probably help her. So I'm hoping they bring that up. If they don't, that's a little bit of a failing of the movie, I think, because that's pretty dark that he just leaves her there with.
Yeah.
Like she left him at the carnival. Life doesn't work out, James.
Oh.
Life doesn't work out, James. It's called
An
getting...
eye for an eye.
No,
It's getting
called-
even.
Honestly, it's called
I
getting
feel like they
even.
started to set that up, like with him giving her back the compass. Like he knows that there's something going on.
Oh, I like that bit where he gives her the compass.
So I think
and
you're
she's-
going to need it more than
Yeah,
I
and
thought.
she's
Yeah.
like,
Debt
"What's
repaid."
this?" Yes, she's like, "What's this?" It's like she didn't even remember what it was, and this is.
Jokes on you, Billy was going to rob her. And then he's like, nah, you're in a
yeah.
bad enough situation. I'll
She's
leave
got
you-
nothing to
I'll
tell
leave you with Trevor.
He's just gonna rock up, say Shazam, and like steal from them. Who's gonna believe them?
My
It's
son
like,
came
my
back.
long lost son turned into a superhero and robbed me. Sure, lady.
Okay, lady.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're gonna sign off the live portion of the show now, because our friend Matt's here for his show, so he's gonna go on air on the radio waves, and we're going to stay in our studio and record off air and upload the second part with the first part as the 2-hour podcast. So if you're listening live, thank you very much. But yeah, definitely check out the podcast. It's on iTunes, on Shout Engine, or on your regular podcasting app. And yeah, I'll upload the episode as the full 2-hour discussion. So be sure to...
Stay tuned for Car Talk if you're listening live.
Yeah, you can listen to that automotive show. We won't say our sign off because it's technically not the end of the show. We'll be back very soon. See you soon. All right, we're back. So you're back from outer space. Yeah, so let's move right on with the conversation. So one thing we want to talk about is the mid-credits scene introduces Mr. Mind, the super intelligent,
evil
alien caterpillar.
Yeah, I had to look that up.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not a fan of that. I'm not a fan of, like you're teasing something, I get it. And, like, it was teased, like, you kept showing me the shot of this caterpillar that wasn't there the second time around.
You know the problem with Shazam is not the most popular DC comic character.
And I think that's given them a lot of freedom in what they can and can't do.
But also, when you do a deep dive from the Rogues Gallery,
Yeah.
like, not a lot of
gets
people are going to
weird.
know, man.
And we saw the Crocodile Man too.
Apparently, the current New 52 run, like, of Shazam, like, Mr. Mind is the, like, main villain. So I think it's kind of, like, you know, playing... Because 90% of the movie is based on the New 50... 99% of the movie is based on the New 52 version of Shazam. Which is now officially called Shazam and not Captain Marvel anymore.
Yeah.
So I think they're kind of playing with Mr. Mind the same way the comic books have been. But yeah, it's a pretty deep cut especially for most moviegoers.
Actually, you know what? I'll take it back. I did have to look up who Thanos was when I first saw him in the MCU.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
that was so long ago.
I'm not a huge comic book fan.
Memories.
Yeah, like I don't actively read comic books.
Ooh.
Callum, on the other hand.
Yeah, but see, that's why I had to look up who Thanos was.
Fun fact about Thanos, in the original Infinity War, at the end of the story, he gets arrested by the police and taken away in a squad car.
Yeah. And
is this the one that includes the Thanos copter, or is this something else?
Fingers crossed for Endgame.
I know. I'm sorry.
Best ending in the whole fucking franchise.
Yeah.
If he just gets arrested by some New York cops at the end, and they're just like,
Take him
"We're
away.
the boys in blue.
Take
You're a
him away,
purple man."
boys.
They just beat him up with their
Yeah.
clubs.
Yeah.
That reminds me of my favorite reference in Into the Spider-Verse is when they have the Spider-Man dune buggy.
Oh, so good.
It's like, wait a minute.
But I think what I like about Mr. Mind, even though he's crazy weird, is that they're embracing the weird comic bookiness of the superheroes. Like a lot of superhero movies, they're trying to be gritty, they're trying to be realistic, or if not, they're trying to at least be more aimed for the blockbuster, you know, action. They're trying to make a movie version of it.
The good thing about Shazam is that since it's like magic based, they can pretty much they can pretty much be like, oh well, magic, and it's perfectly reasonable.
Well, that's what I like is like because he's more magic based and his villains are more magic based and like they can introduce a lot of weird, cool stuff and like all sorts of crazy stuff. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. And how Mr. Mind creates the Monster Society of Evil, which is like their like Injustice League. It's like the Ministry of Evil villain, like super villains who are Shazam's
the Rogues Gallery.
Rogues Gallery, which I think will be cool to see how that plays out in the future. Also, like apparently in the 40s when Mr. Mind was introduced, and you know Nazis were always the bad guys,
And they still are.
Well, yeah, and they still are.
More relevant today?
Yeah, more relevant. Mr. Mind actually joins the Axis powers and becomes the Nazi. So this little worm guy,
That's hilarious.
it's so good, and he also helps. He also helps create a supervillain called Captain Nazi. So
Love it.
That's a bit on the nose.
Fingers crossed for the Shazam sequel. We'll get Shazam versus Captain Nazi, which is more relevant, you know, quite relevant now.
Oh, that tickles me.
But also, Mr. Mind wrote his own version of Mein Kampf called Mind Kampf.
Please. How do I travel back in time just to stop
Golden
them
Age.
from making those dumb jokes?
No, I want to go back in time and save all these like Golden Age comics. And, like,
Mind Kampf. That is
So good.
amazing.
Oh, God.
we need
A
this.
caterpillar's struggle.
I like the idea that it looks like it's typed, but it's just him pressing his like different feet together.
He just bangs it with his head. Bangs the keys with his head.
Oh, comics.
All right, now to the moment we've all been waiting for, especially Alex.
Hello.
There are 7 wizards. There are 7 deadly sins.
So 7's very important.
Yeah. Billy's mum lives on the 7th floor in apartment 707. It's 777. But there are only 6 foster kids who get powers, including Billy.
Yeah, because Shazam only has 6 letters.
No, not quite. Yes, but there can be.
But there are 7 wizards.
But there's
right?
always
Yeah.
7 wizards.
Yeah.
So and they get their
Bro,
power.
isn't there an exclamation point?
Oh, and one of them is it's just an extra
point,
kid
boy.
that jumps up like.
They've all got the lightning insignia, and he's got the exclamation point on his chest.
Is he Mr. Incredible but backwards? Or?
But so obviously we're left wondering if that last
Yeah,
wizard
so-
is obviously Black Adam.
My first thing was there's going to be a new foster kid introduced in the sequel, but of course that's dumb. Of course, Black Adam's going to be introduced at some point.
See, because the thing is that there should only be 6 kids. See, I don't read a lot of the comic books, but like I've seen like some of their other medium and stuff like that. And when the Flashpoint stuff, there's 6 kids that make Shazam.
Yeah, there's only 6 kids in the New 52, which is where these characters in the movie come from. So, but I was just like, why is 7 so important? But there's only 6, and there's 7 thrones, right?
Yeah, because
So
the
that's
whole thing
why-
is there has to be 7. There's only 7 wizards.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like there only can be 7 wizards.
Yeah.
So in my
I think
mind,
the word Shazam, like we should say that, like Achilles, for example, isn't a wizard.
No,
He's just an
true,
ancient
yeah.
warrior. It's like they're not necessarily the
They
powers.
they play pretty fast and loose with
yeah,
the
but no, but
mythology.
the point is, the point is 7.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
7's an important number
Yeah.
in the franchise.
They just
There's also a cat in the comics, which could be the 7th warrior.
They're going to
That's-
introduce the tiger. There's a lot of tiger
Yeah.
symbols.
That's
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
just
true.
like-
even I noticed that
That
even
is
on
actually
Billy's
true.
backpack,
Yeah.
the entire time was that tiger.
Yeah, my point.
that
my point-
actually could be. I actually concede that point. That actually could be true. Does it stipulate that the wizard or the magic wheel there has to be a human?
No, it's magic, not necessarily. Look at Mr. Mind.
I think Mr. Mind's enough. Like, introducing the tiger might be too much.
But the
Tiger
ob-
beats Mr. Mime in a fight.
It would be great.
But the obvious answer is that the missing seat
yeah.
belongs to Black Adam.
Did we talk about Did I talk about the scene where the little girl's scared and he gives her the stuffed tiger?
Yeah.
I really like that. Like that's a
Yeah.
Superman moment that
Now,
Superman didn't have in the
If
DCEU.
if
'cause-
only he magicked it and it turned into a fighting tiger.
sequel, man, sequel.
See, what I want is them to just adopt a house cat at the end of the movie and then just let my imagination
And
run
then
wild.
when it meows Shazam, it turns into a tiger.
Well, Sam. Oh,
Roger?
Raggy. This is a new Scooby Doo spin-off.
That's a spin-off I'd watch.
But anyway, yeah, we are talking about Black Adam. He is. So The Rock was cast as Black Adam like years ago. I don't
this is-
even know how long.
And this is troubling to me, James.
And so I was like, how can this is when DC was still terrible, and there still remains to be seen how bad or how
Gotta
good
admit
they'll
though,
be.
DC cast like a whole bunch of people out of nowhere. They did
True.
what the Dark Universe did, and just were like,
Yeah.
this person is cast, this person is cast, this person is cast. anyone excited for the Johnny Depp Invisible Man film?
And then people are like, this sucks, and they're just like, oh. But yeah, so they cast Black Adam, and this is when, Batman vs. Superman was coming out or whatever, and I was just like, how can you cast Black Adam and not even have a Shazam yet? Like, I think they offered Shazam to The Rock,
Weird.
and then they were like, oh, or you do want to play Black Adam? And he, like, tweeted at his fans, and his fans were like, Black Adam, which I think he's a good choice for Black Adam.
Yeah.
I think he's a better choice for Black Adam than he would have been for Shazam.
I can't see him as Shazam.
No, you know what?
No.
I think The Rock could have pulled off the same energy as Zachary Levi.
Yeah, but it wouldn't
definitely.
be. It wouldn't be the same.
No, it wouldn't be the same, but I definitely I've seen the Rock's children's films. I've seen The Tooth Fairy. It's not great, to say the least. But like he can pull off that same comedic energy. I think
He would have been
feel.
good, but yeah, I think he would have been. He's going to be much better as Black
He can have the
Adam.
gravitas.
My worry
Yeah,
My worry is that Dwayne Johnson's such a big name.
Yes.
That in the sequel, like his own spin-off movie, fine, that's his thing.
Yes.
But in Shazam 2, I don't want it to
Well,
be more
see-
focused on Shazam
Yeah, you don't
and
want
Black
The Rock
Adam
to
than
have
it
top
would be
billing.
Shazam.
That's why he's getting a solo film.
Yeah, and this is why he's getting a solo origin film, and then after that, I assume he's going to eventually come into the Shazam films. Now, we don't know the timeline. DC doesn't, until this moment, DC hasn't really known what they've been doing with their universe. So, it's possible that the reason they set up Mr. Mind is so that in Shazam 2, they can have the monster of Society of Evil and have all that, and Dr. Zavanna returns.
That's
And
probably
then,
what they are going to go with in Shazam 2, which has been confirmed.
Yeah,
I should hope so,
already,
yeah.
yeah.
And the David F. Sandberg is returning to direct, and apparently the
Okay.
writers.
Yeah.
I heard about the writer, but not the director returning. So that's
That
That
good.
was news today, I think.
Yeah, today.
Yeah.
So, like, yeah, and then they do the Black Adam solo film, and then I guess eventually. So, I mean, that could also work out because it could be like instead of doing a Avengers kind of thing, it's like have a Black Adam versus Shazam. Like that's going to be the big showdown movie.
Yeah.
But
So
I'm just
that'll be
worried The Rock's
interesting.
going to ruin it, man.
And this is my thing is like, I think a Black Adam solo film would be really cool because they even say like Shazam the Wizard says like we chose a champion but we chose wrong, and then he shows
and it's
in
sort of
like a cool like CGI like glowy thing.
My friend didn't even realize that was Black Adam.
Yeah,
I was like, no,
which is
Black
it's
Adam.
not stated.
Yeah.
No, but like if you
You
know
don't have-
if
you
you
don't
know
have
who
to
Black
know,
Adam
yeah.
is, you know it's Black Adam.
Yeah.
If you don't know who Black Adam is, or
It's
like
just the previous champion. Yeah.
But I think that's cool because it's like Black Adam is the Wizard's original champion,
and he's extremely powerful.
before Shazam. So he's
Yeah.
equal, if not more powerful than
Well,
Billy
he's at
Shazam.
Shazam doesn't understand the full breadth of his powers. Black Adam does. That's the difference.
exactly. Yeah,
Because in the movie, it's sort of stated that Black Adam created the seven sins and unleashed them.
or I think he unleashed them.
I don't think he created them.
No, he didn't create
Oh,
them.
okay. Well, he unleashed.
He
yeah.
unleashed them, and then it
Well,
took all the wizards to
it mentions them-
basically put
so-
them back.
Yeah,
Just for, I'm not exactly sure how it works. Does Black Adam have all of the wizard's powers? Like,
Yeah.
or
Yeah,
does
yeah.
is Shazam like the last wizard and he gives what power he has? So would that mean Black Adam is way more powerful than Shazam?
From
Possibly.
my understanding, at least in the DCEU, like the way it's been shown, my understanding would be that they'd be of equal power.
Okay.
at least equal. Yeah,
Because
When all the wizards die, their power goes into Shazam?
I assume so.
Okay, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, that's why he's able to fulfill the seats because he gets like all
Yeah.
that power, but like
Yep.
plus extra,
And that's why he's
that
waiting
he can't
for-
use.
he's
But like, he
waiting
can Shazam them into other Shazams.
Yeah, he's waiting for a worthy champion to give that power. That's why he says something like, I open my heart. So,
Yeah.
and then Billy realizes that's because he's got all the wizards.
I don't understand. See, the thing is that like you get Thad and he's been tested. You get the others that pop up in the videos and they've been tested. Is Billy tested?
This is what I want to talk about. So Black Adam is the original champion for the Wizards. So he's going to return in Shazam 3 or whatever. And he's going to rock up and Billy's going to be Shazam. And he's going to be like, hang on a sec, mate.
Matter versus antimatter kind of thing?
I am actually the original champion. You're a poser. Did you even pass the test, bruh?
Black Adam wasn't tested. They specifically said after they talk about it, they're like, we actually have to start testing these people.
That's true. That's true.
We can't let these random dudes on the street.
Whoopsie! It was just some guy. It was just some guy like, hey, dude, do you want some magical powers? Yeah, sure.
Yeah, bro.
Black Adam ruined it for everyone. They implemented the test because he was so terrible.
You let one guy have unlimited power.
You ruined this for everybody else.
Yeah, exactly that. It's how it worked.
That's hilarious.
That's how else would they have tested? Because without
anyway-
Black Adam, they wouldn't have the little globe thing.
But this is what I actually.
That's true.
This is what I actually want to see in the sequel is Billy sort of like coming to terms with the fact that he's not actually the most pure hero.
He admits that in the movie, though, doesn't he?
Now in the New 52, which is where this
yeah,
the movie version comes from, he admits, like, the Wizard's like, I'm looking for a pure of heart, honorable champion. And Billy's like, dude, have you been outside? Like, no one, you'll never find that person. And then the Shazam's like, oh, you know, I understand now. You are truthful, whatever. I see good in you, even though you're a little shit.
I'm really old and I need to pass this
Yeah,
on.
and it's like,
Not just good enough.
I'm so
Yeah.
tired, I'll give it. But in the movie, it's much quicker where he's just kind of like, Billy's just kind of like, I don't think that person exists. You know?
Yeah.
And then Shazam's like, it's his last, Billy's his last option. He's just like, fine, here, take it. And
But
then he
I also
turns to
think
dust.
it's like, you know, in terms of the context of the film, it's not so much about being Jesus, as it is about being the best you can be.
Yeah.
Billy's the kind of guy who will not willingly do evil.
True, yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's that type of purity
But
in the sense that.
yeah.
No, I know he does dodgy stuff for the police. But
no, but he
that's
also
like,
steals from the crippled kid.
well,
He steals from
yeah.
Freddy. He steals the bullet that he
They-
reckons is worth hundreds
They
of
do
dollars.
they steal money out of the ATM.
I retract my word. I retract my words. Here, I was just trying to defend a kid
that's kind of what Freddie is getting angry at him about.
Yeah.
He's like, you're not a real hero. You charge people's phones and dance for money, and then do tricks for money. Like, and that's why at the end of the movie he becomes a true hero. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see if Black Adam does show up, and he challenges Shazam and says, "I'm the original champion." And it's kind of like maybe Shazam gets tempted to the dark side. I don't know. It's just an interesting thought.
Again, cosmetic. Do we know that Shazam, the wizard Shazam, not the hero Shazam, can only look at that present individual's capacity for light or darkness? When he tests a child, does he see the capacity for light in the future? So does he look at Billy and think he's not good now, but he will be?
I think it's only at that present moment, because you got to remember, like, I would argue that Thad either way probably would use it for evil, but like at the same time, like if they're gonna take the weird glowy orb thing, it would count them out. They're too easily tempted by things.
It's
too easily tempted to use their power to get power.
Yeah,
I'd be like, no.
Yeah, fair point. Yeah,
but yeah, I think a Black Adam solo film would be cool, and it'd also be like, it'd be cool because you also don't have to quickly introduce him in a Shazam sequel and then
room for growth.
I think, and also because Shazam is the original, because Black Adam is the original champion, like they could do a similar sort of story progression to
like a contrasting
Shazam.
one.
Yeah, but a contrast, like the dark version.
I just hope they don't make it like an ancient Egyptian movie, though.
Well,
it would be.
I'm kind of hoping it is, because one, Scorpion King.
Yeah.
But two, like, how awesome would a superhero movie in ancient Egypt be?
That would be cool, but too much CG.
True.
Yeah. I would argue that what they'd probably do is they'd probably mix it like with maybe Black Adam, like starts off in ancient Egypt, because that's when it has to, like, or something.
Yeah.
In some ancient place, and then he just kicks about through history or something. And
That would be
if you
cool.
want to set it up for the modern era,
Maybe maybe they're gonna do it like he loses his powers after the event where he unleashes
the cataclysm or whatever,
and then he like roams all of history as a sort of
And then
exiled.
he ends up in present day seeing Shazam on the news or something.
Yeah, and he's like, I want my powers back.
like the end of Split. You just see him in a diner looking at the TV.
Yeah. The Rock. At the end of Shazam 2, The Rock will just be in a diner with a beard and just look at the TV at Shazam and he'll be like, I want my powers back.
You know, though, I don't want to deflate ourselves here, but it's not going to be what you want. It's going to be it's just going to be a CG superhero fest in ancient Egypt.
Well,
So one thing I will say is they're not going to have a thick suit for The Rock.
The costume budget. The costume guy's like,
thinnest suit.
all right, yeah.
I mean, I would argue that Black Adam's like sort of physique isn't even the same as like ridiculousness as Captain Marvel's anyway. I feel like if you just put The Rock in like a tight like spandex, it'd be like,
fine.
that'll do.
Yeah.
Somehow managed to get The Rock even more shredded. Sure.
Is that possible?
You know, there would just be countless shots of just like Black Adam taking off his top, like
Just like flexing.
yeah, just flexing.
That's how his magic works.
Yeah, he's got to pop the
lightning
guns.
comes out of his nipples. He has to flex
Yeah.
for it.
Flex the pecs.
Yeah, flexing lightning out of my nipples.
Instead of Shazam, like, you know, shooting lightning out of his fingers, he like flexes his bicep and the lightning comes out. Lightning out of my pecs.
Weird flex, but okay.
Out of my
Yeah.
bicep. But yeah, like as Nathan was saying, there is that worry that The Rock is such a superstar that he's going to overshadow not just Zachary Levi as Shazam, but the whole movie universe, and like his stardom is going to, because Black Adam in the comic, he's been in the comic books for so long that eventually he sort of becomes an anti-hero.
Yeah.
So I'm worried that they're going to have Black Adam start as a villain, turn into an anti-hero, and by the time he gets to Shazam,
You know,
or he'll be a villain in Shazam, and then Shazam will turn him into an anti-hero, and then because The Rock is such a big star, then they're going to make Black Adam 2, where he's a hero now, you know?
Here's a thought. How about not have him the villain in Shazam 2 and just have him as a secondary character? He can be a bad guy, but not the overall villain.
Maybe he can be...
Do you know, that way...
But it's Dwayne Johnson.
No, but that way he doesn't overshadow the rest of the cast.
I feel like, one, The Rock...
I mean, it's risky.
Yeah,
and
everything about this is risky.
To Black Adam, I think everyone's waiting. Even people who don't know anything about comic books are like, we want Black Adam, you know?
They just want The Rock as a superhero.
And also that.
The thing is, and to paraphrase from Wreck-It Ralph, they're going to make him a bad guy, but not a bad guy.
Yeah.
Well, in the comics, he's a sometimes villain, but he's a chaotic neutral guy. He's not always the bad guy.
But I mean, in terms of the movie universe, I think they need to make him more of a villain, and I think the Rock be damned if his demands as a superstar get in the way of the storytelling. I would be happy for them to recast him.
I agree.
Yeah,
Which they're not going to do.
I think the days of The Rock playing a villain are over.
Yeah. It's like they're not
It's in his contract now. Basically, if we
like-
look at his contract, it's going to be, I need to be top billing,
Yeah.
all the marketing, and I need to be the hero.
I need to be in more scenes than Zachary Levi, you know.
And that's the biggest worry.
Yeah. So, like, I'm happy for them to recast it, even though I'd like to see The Rock as Black Adam.
Danny DeVito as Black Adam.
Danny DeVito as anyone.
Black Adam.
He could play Black Adam as like his normal self, and then every time he said, and every time Danny DeVito says Shazam, he turns to The Rock or something.
This got so much more 90s real fast.
He says, Dwayne Johnson. He turns-
His Black Adam version is Arnold Schwarzenegger. It's a twins movie.
Oh, now I'm actually looking forward to Twins 3 because I'm hoping it's a superhero movie. Oh, man. But yeah, like...
Alex is over doubled over. He's just like, why did I come on this show?
Okay, I'll tell you about something I did in D&D later. Yeah, no, I can totally get behind a Danny DeVito Shazam.
Yeah.
Danny DeVito should just, instead of Zachary Levi, should have played Shazam.
Oh, man. You know, the...
Oh, no! Danny DeVito plays Uncle Dudley!
Yes! Oh, the possibilities.
Are you listening, Hollywood, again?
The movie takes place in Philadelphia, so there's already a Always Sunny connection. And the cowardly Santa, like, swearing on TV...
Should be Mac.
It's like, you pull down his beard, it could be any one of the Always Sunny cast members, so...
Really, it'd be D.
But-
Because she went...
Why would she be Santa?
She's about the performance.
Oh, okay.
So that was such a derailing.
But yeah, in a perfect world, like the Black Adam wouldn't overshadow Shazam and whatever that's going to be in the future. But yeah, like we'll see what happens.
I think if it's done right, it could work, but
Yeah.
I'm just hesitant to see what they're going to do with it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna wait and see. Like, I don't even know if Black Adam is going to actually get made at this point.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I mean, I think the movie's done all right. Shazam's done all right.
Shazam's done all right,
But
but whether or not Black Adam will be made.
Yeah,
that's the only
but
thing.
the critical reaction has been amazing.
Yeah,
for
I
this
mean,
movie.
when they cast The Rock as Black Adam, and they still hadn't had any plans for Shazam, and Batman vs Superman was coming out, and I was just like, this is going to be a disaster. This is never going to get done. Like, what the hell? And now that Shazam's come out, it's actually really good. I have more hope for Black Adam to actually materialize.
I think I have less hope. I don't know, because I feel like Black Adam will be a completely different tone, different directors, different writers.
True.
So
I
you
think
could end up with the classic DCEU film,
Yeah.
but with The Rock.
That's worrying.
Because, I mean, you got to admit, like, stardom doesn't equal good films.
No.
Never forget that Will Smith is in Suicide Squad.
Skyscraper.
We're talking about that later.
man.
Oh, God.
No, see, that's an interesting thought. Shazam was popular because it's Shazam. So they will probably give people money to make Black Adam, but that doesn't mean that Black Adam will have an easy production or that it'll be well received.
Or it'll be automatically good because
like with Black Adam, you'd have to go for, even if you wanted the anti-hero vibe, you'd have to go back to the classic DCEU dark sort of gritty plays.
Well, he's not exactly a cheerful dude.
No,
exactly.
he's not. Like, he unleashed the seven sins.
Yeah.
I think
killed millions of people.
Yeah, he's just Shazam, but a murder hobo.
We could get a Man of Steel situation where it's like going backwards instead of going forward.
I would love to see Black Adam beat up the DCEU Superman.
Actually,
oh man,
you know what? Oh yeah, because
this ties into our next point. Thank you, Callum.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That was perfect segue. No, I'm not being sarcastic. This is perfect segue. So Superman is technically in this movie.
Yep.
Technically.
mostly his crotch area.
Yeah.
Chest down.
He's Shazam is in this movie. So I hate Man of Steel and Batman vs Superman and Justice League more than most people on the planet.
I mean, I hate Man of Steel a lot, but that's mostly because it's got a shaking camera that doesn't stop.
Yeah.
I just hate that so much that I wanted it to go to a special area that is.
So any way the DC movies can remove themselves from the rotten foundation that is what Zack Snyder did to the DC movies is better. The further they move away, the better. So what I like about Shazam is that there are references to Batman and Superman, but there's nothing really concrete to say that it's in the Man of Steel universe.
There's no large connectivity between them.
Yeah.
There's just the whole Superman bullet thing, but I suppose.
Yeah,
I
and
don't know where that takes place though.
And the Batarangs.
The Batarang,
Yeah.
the bullet, and the
logos.
the logos and the
But that's all periphery.
Yeah, the newspaper articles, but
Yeah.
it's not like concrete enough. You could argue that. Well, this takes place in a world where Batman Superman exists. It doesn't mean that's the Man of Steel Batman vs Superman version.
There's no courtroom scene where Superman's standing there being like,
Yeah.
I'm not a bad guy.
with the mustache certainly not being there.
With the
Yeah.
DCGI mustache.
So, that's what I like about the movie is that it's standalone enough. In my mind, the Batman and
You can
Superman...
erase it.
Yeah, the Batman and Superman who exist in Shazam are not the same as the
Yeah.
Zack Snyder versions, which is perfect.
And
then-
Shazam would beat up Superman in a fight.
Callum's been wanting to talk about it. We'll get to it. But then at the end of the movie, which is actually a bit I really liked, is Shazam invites Superman to Billy's school.
Yeah, and
Which I
that's
thought was
totally
a
a
great-
Superman thing to do.
Which is a great move, and I loved it.
good PR for Grimdark Superman.
Yeah. But he's wearing the DC Zack Snyder suit. But because Henry Cavill was apparently unavailable, thank God for that, we don't see his face. So this, for me, in my headcanon, further concretes the fact that this is not the same Superman as in the previous films. This is a different version of Superman. Despite the crappy suit, which I hate. I would have liked them to go full, original Superman suit, which would have been better for me. But, for me, it still cements the movie in not being part of the previous canon.
I think
you're just too hopeful.
I think
this is all my headcanon.
I think they made the right
But-
decision by not showing his face.
this-
I know it's only because Henry Cavill
Yeah.
was busy, but
But I'm glad that happened because that really
it adds a layer of separation.
Now, this goes into the larger connected conversation, which I want to talk about, is how I want them to move away from the current DCEU completely. I want them to retcon
Yeah, no.
Man of Steel, Batman vs Superman, and Justice League out of existence.
Yeah,
Dump
I agree.
him.
I know Henry Cavill. Technically, I don't think he's left the role yet, but I want them
No, he hasn't.
I want them to recast him. Ben Affleck, thank the gods, has left the role, so we're getting a recasted Batman. I
Some
can't.
of us are sadder than others.
Yeah,
yes.
well, yeah, you guys are wrong.
But no.
But anyway,
Is Henry Cavill really that bad?
No,
I
he's
know-
not that bad, but it goes into my larger problems with the earlier DC movies. It's like we need to completely move on from those.
Okay, fair
Now,
fair enough.
Wonder Woman and Aquaman did well enough, and people like Gal Gadot and Jason Momoa enough that those cast members and movies are going to continue.
Yeah, but see, half the plot of Wonder Woman comes from the plot of Batman vs Superman. You can't retcon without retconning Wonder Woman.
And that's kind of...
And that'll be a sad casualty.
And that'll be a sad casualty. But also, Wonder Woman 1984, which is the sequel to Wonder Woman, apparently also changes the continuity between Wonder Woman and Batman vs Superman. So, which is great because they no longer have to stay in that crappy Zack Snyder verse canon. So, I'm hoping, in my perfect world, that we can move slowly. It's baby steps, but we can slowly move away from the.
Well, yeah,
the
I
DC
mean, we've got that.
earlier movies.
We have that. Hopefully, that new Batman movie will get made, and hopefully that'll be a good one.
I mean,
and that can be a fresh start for the Batman in
there's-
the
yeah.
DCEU.
And there's a lot of positivity going around this studio with the way they're heading.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, if you listen to the Old Man vs. Movies episode about Wonder Woman, we were like, good start. Want to see more of this.
No, but this is
Because,
this is completely different.
Patty Jenkins really bought it. But my point is, it's a slow process which seems to be heading in the right direction.
And we'll see how it goes in the next few years as the other DC movies come out. But yeah, it's like, I feel like to truly make great superhero films, they need to divorce...
They need to hire the Russo brothers.
Yeah. They need to divorce themselves from the rotten foundation that Zack Snyder gave them. And I know there's a lot of Hollywood politics and they want to be polite to Zack Snyder, and he's a producer probably on all these films. But they really need to move away from that, because they can't make truly great superhero movies until they completely get rid of all that crap.
Odds are Batman vs Superman, if they're making a new Batman film, is going to get retconned. It's unless you're setting this new Batman film before Batman vs Superman, you've got to retcon Batman vs Superman.
That's
now.
another problem which we can talk about. Is there's rumors that the Batman solo film is going to be a prequel set in the 90s, possibly, which is problematic for me.
Yeah, I mean, if they were, say, to make another Superman film, I'd probably go see it, because they'd probably try to make it more Superman-y.
Well, hopefully, they've learned their lesson. Yeah.
But yeah, aside from that, it's rough to see how they're going to go.
Yeah.
I mean, look, we have a lot of good things on the horizon. Titans is a good show.
Yeah.
I haven't seen
it.
I haven't seen.
It's great. You should.
I've seen
You'd
a few
like it.
episodes.
Really
It's pretty
good.
solid.
Callum would like it. Yeah.
I mean, you see Batman at the end, which I was not expecting.
Yeah, but we won't spoil it. But it's not the
Thanks.
Batman I'd expect.
Spoilers.
Spoilers alert.
Sorry, spoiler alert. And we've got Doom Patrol, which I still haven't seen.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It hasn't
it's-
hasn't finished yet, but when it finishes and comes to Netflix, I'll binge.
But the
that.
sort of
It looks
soft
good.
pilot in Titans was really good.
Yeah. Swamp Thing, I'm looking forward to.
Whoa.
Swamp Thing.
But that's all TV stuff. In terms of the movies that are coming
we've
up,
got the Joker.
the Joker movie.
Are you serious?
Why, how many Joker films do we need? How many Jokers do we need?
I really need-
This is different.
No,
Okay,
But
as
it's still,
many as
it's
many
a
as it's
standalone Joker film. That
as
is
many as required to make it good.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's what I said. As many as it needs to get to the good one.
But Jared Leto Joker is still the DCEU Joker.
but here's my thing.
No, he's not now.
He's not. And in my
have they retconned Suicide Squad?
Yes.
technically not. We'll go into. Look, we're gonna need another 3 hours for this show. Look. Like I was saying, they need to retcon all that shit out of existence and to get rid of all that crap that's been holding them back. And
Hold on. I'm kind of confused. So
no, we'll get to Suicide Squad very,
Okay.
very quickly. So, and the Joker is part of that. The Suicide Squad is part of that. It is part of why these movies were so poorly received and why these heroes never truly were as good as they should have been. Now, the Joker, the standalone film, or Joker, no the. This is an interesting step in the right direction for if DC is going to stick true to their standalone, self-contained movie universe.
I mean, while
They realized they couldn't do the MCU interconnected universe, and they screwed that up. So now they're slowly doing individual ones. There'll obviously be sequels to one, like Aquaman will obviously get a sequel, Wonder Woman's getting a sequel, Shazam will eventually have a sequel. But whether they'll do the whole crossover universe, probably not. Then on top of that, they're also having the Joker being the first one. So we'll see how that goes. That'll be their quote-unquote Elseworlds standalone films. Films that are one and done, take place in their own contained universe, and then are no sequels, no connected whatever.
But on that note, quickly, the fact that they're making an Elseworlds movie about the Joker signifies that they're obviously not that loyal to
Zack
any
Snyder's.
other interpretation of the Joker.
Yes.
Yeah, like Jared Leto.
Because the Jared Leto
Yeah.
Joker, because the sort of the public zeitgeist of the Joker at the moment is Jared Leto.
Yeah.
and
We live
now
in a
soon
society.
it's
no
going
one really
to
considers him.
no, but
No.
he's the current. He's
Yeah,
the
yeah.
current.
Technically he's
the current Joker. But then when the new movie comes out,
Yeah.
suddenly that shifts to Joaquin Phoenix.
But if this is truly a standalone film and doesn't have sequel bait bullshit in it, and they don't try to pump more money out of it by trying to make sequels, which I don't even
like,
know.
what is this? A superhero movie?
But you know what I mean. Like, if this is truly a standalone film, then if they do introduce Joker in future Batman movies, he'll be played by someone else again. and he'll be a different interpretation. So, this comes to my point of, is Joker truly a standalone film? And if it does well, will DC continue this trend?
I don't think this is something we can talk about at the moment because there's nothing really we can talk about.
We can talk about how DC is going in the right direction if they are going to do standalone films that take place in their own contained universe, because that's something the Marvel movies can never, ever do.
The only thing I could see, if the Batman is set in the early 90s, we might see a Joaquin Phoenix Joker
But this is what I don't want.
No, but I'm saying the timelines might add up.
This is why I'm apprehensive. And this is what I don't... I want them to retcon all that bullshit out. I want them to... In the movies that work, like Shazam, do sequels to that.
But keep it all self-contained. That's what we want.
Yeah, otherwise... And I want them to do like a Red Sun movie or a Gotham by Gaslight movie. You know, standalone films that don't tie into and cast actors who won't be returning as that character later in other films.
I just want John Hamm's Batman. Why is that so hard?
I don't think they can do that.
Exactly. And this is going to be extremely hard.
Let me finish my
go. I've got 10 hours of notes.
They did this sort of stuff like as animated films. And they pulled this off as animated films. They did Flashpoint. They did all this amazing stuff because you can do that because you voice actors and stuff. Live action, the fact that you're going to cast like big names as anyone, no go. Like the minute you cast big names, people are like, I want to see them again.
Yeah.
I want to see Joaquin Phoenix as the Joker like 20 million times. Where is he in Suicide Squad 2? And like, you know, you're going to hear that. I don't think either they go standalones only and never connect anything, or it's one of those ones where like this speculation, like trying to retcon like 3 films out of existence is going to be rough, especially when one of them...
They're not going to do that. I'm just saying that's what they have to do to,
also, I think
actually...
One thing we're forgetting is the basic fact that a big budget movie with lots of big names crossing over will sell more tickets than a self-contained movie.
Eventually, they're probably going to end up doing another crossover in the future. But I'm just saying, for now... It is, like Alex is saying, it's going to be too difficult for them to do standalone movies, which for me is disappointing because that's more what I want them to do.
I think they could just sweep it all under the rug. I think they could pull an Incredible Hulk and recast everything.
Just never talk about it again.
That's the correct decision.
I'm happy with that. Yeah,
it's not like a proper retcon where like this never happened. You just ignore it.
Yeah,
you just make another
no one ever
Superman
talks
film.
about it
Even
again.
if it's got Henry Cavill in it, I don't care. Just don't talk about him snapping Zod's neck.
I'm 100% happy with that.
Or like you can bring it up, like don't bring it up a heap. Like
but like I just think like the standalone Joker movie, if it does well, it's going to have a ripple effect throughout like Alex was saying, throughout the other films where it's like everyone's going to want to see Joaquin Phoenix come back.
Here's the thing.
Everyone's going to see what happens next within that universe, and I think that's dangerous
because there's no Joker without Batman.
No. This is an interesting point. I think I'm sorry to kind of force myself into this here, but have you seen the second season of Gotham?
No.
So where you're assuming that Joaquin Phoenix is going to be the Joker. Now, Joaquin
you're
Phoenix...
saying there's more than one?
So, Joaquin Phoenix is not a young man in the Joker movie.
Yeah.
Now, how they handle this issue in the Gotham TV show is when they have because Bruce Wayne is a young boy in the show, is when you see the Joker in the show, it's not the Joker from the comics, it's the man who inspires the Joker to come. So we're saying that just because Joaquin Phoenix is Joker in quotation marks in this film, if you want to have a new character, a new cast member as the Joker in a future movie, for example, the Batman detective movie, it might be set in the future in which Joaquin Phoenix inspired someone to be the Joker.
I would think that would be a mistake.
But I'm saying that's how they've handled it before, while maintaining the continuity of ages.
I think Joaquin Phoenix could just straight up play the Joker in a current day Batman film.
Yeah, but my point
is... If you were trying to set it up so that way they both took place at a similar time, you're right. But
I don't want the Joker film to be a prequel film. I want it to be a film on its own, that's it.
Yeah, it could be, but it could be like maybe some event will happen that inspires a kid. It holds on its own, but it also has a connection to
I don't want
DCEU.
Yeah, no, I don't want that either.
Again, I'm not saying about Henry Cavill.
Yeah, no.
It could inspire good movies down the line because we don't know what's coming.
No, I agree that like you could have like this Joker inspire the other Jokers, but if they've already told that story in Gotham, I don't know if they're willing to tell that story again.
Yeah, and also like that's also going to start more confusing the waters with the standalone films, where it's like, well, are they standalone? If they do well, where we're going to keep on with the story and introduce it into other films, it's like, well, then you lose the standalone element, and then you just end up with a shared cinematic universe again.
Yeah. I mean, there are ways to do shared cinematic universes without it being like obtrusive. Like you've got all the logos and stuff, like, and you could just say it's a shared cinematic universe.
Yeah.
So what?
They all I mean, like Aquaman, Wonder Woman, and Shazam all still technically exist in that universe.
Yeah.
But it's like, they don't necessarily have to team up, or they don't necessarily have to reference each other.
I would like a large Justice League film, but only after like a few of these small standalones.
Yeah.
I think they rush to Justice
exactly.
League.
Also, they need to get someone who understands the Justice League.
Exactly. After Shazam, I'm really hopeful for an actually good Justice League movie in the future, but not for another
15 years.
10 years.
Are they still making that Flash film? I hope they are.
It's been like sort of.
I hope not.
I like the Flash.
Well, but
I like
here's
the Flash
thing.
too, but I don't want it connected to Batman vs Superman.
But here's the
Justice
thing:
League.
is like they could pull a Shazam, Wonder Woman 84 thing, where it's like it's technically a sequel to Justice League, but also it's a standalone film that does its own thing, and
It's a soft reboot, sort of.
You know what I really want? A good Green Lantern film.
Nah, never gonna happen. Forget about it.
Maybe in another 20 years.
Come on.
No, it's never gonna happen.
Look, I think if they were to follow the route of like Guardians of the Galaxy, the first half of Captain Marvel, that kind of space adventure, they could do a good job. But last time they butchered it.
Shazam does make me more hopeful for the future of the DC movies, but it's still very early days. It's still baby steps. They could fall into the same traps that they've been having problems with before. We could end up with 10 more terrible, crappy movies before we get another good one, you know?
Can we just get whoever's writing the animated films to also write the live-action films? That's all I've ever wanted, okay?
Yeah, exactly. The DC animated films have always been much better than the live-action ones. But this is what I'm hoping for with Shazam and Joker and Suicide Squad and The Batman. It's like, hopefully they're heading more towards what they're doing with the animated films and making like cool standalone movies.
I just realized that all these new movies are The Batman, The Suicide Squad,
the Shazam,
The Shazam, But so
James
Gunn's The Suicide Squad has no relation to Suicide Squad, but
here's the bad
it's not
news.
part of the DCEU.
Here's the bad news.
Connected universe, I mean.
Yeah. So The Suicide Squad was announced as a reboot, not connected to the original Suicide Squad. Thank God nobody wanted anything to do with that movie anymore. Then it was announced that, the Birds of Prey movie was coming out with Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn. So it's like they're keeping that casting, and that's a separate movie. So she still exists in that universe.
I think Margot Robbie was a good choice. No,
she's
Quinn.
fine. I would like to see her in that role more. But I'm saying, like, she still technically exists as Harley Quinn in that universe. But she apparently is not going to be in Suicide Squad 2 or The Suicide Squad. So, I mean, that's still separating it enough that, it can be a reboot. Then Viola Davis, Joel Kinnaman, and Jai Courtney are also returning in their roles from Suicide Squad. So it's like, okay, they're keeping some of the cast. That's fine. I mean, we can divorce it from the first film, still reboot it with those actors as those characters. That's fine. I'm happy with that.
Then we get the Polka Dot Man. Polka Dot Man's confirmed is in Suicide Squad 2.
No, that's not true.
Yeah.
For real?
Yeah, I read it somewhere.
No way.
Yeah, Polka Dot Man. But Polka Dot Man is like this perfect nonsense villain that I expect James Gunn to pull out.
Yeah. And he'll make him a really messed up version.
Yeah, because Polka Dot Man's powers aren't actually that dumb. He just pulls patches off his things, and that's the thing.
They'll be really gruesome and violent, though. It'll be like a David Cronenberg-esque version where he rips them out of himself.
According to Screen Rant, he's in it.
No way. Anyway, so then Idris Elba was cast as Deadshot.
Nice.
Great news, right? Oh my god.
I love me some Idris.
So it's like, technically, it's like more rebootish because it's like Will Smith's no longer in the role. We're getting Idris Elba. We're getting some returning cast members. We're assumingly getting some new characters and cast members. Great. Then here comes the bad news. Idris Elba apparently isn't playing Deadshot at all. He's playing another as yet unnamed character.
I don't care as long as he's in it.
No, and that's great. I mean, we're assuming he's going to play Bronze Tiger, which is pretty cool. But anyway, this is scary because now they're saying that, well, we still want Will Smith to be Deadshot in this universe just in case one day he returns. Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn still exists, and in that movie, Jai Courtney, Viola Davis, Joel Kinnaman return in their respective roles. It might not technically be a sequel, but it's feeling more sequel-y than rebooty at the moment after this news. And like I was saying, they really need to move away from those earlier DC movies to fully realize their potential and to fully make good movies. So I'm just a bit worried now because that's very troubling if that's true, if it's not 100% a reboot. Because I think they really need to, really just, no one cares about that movie. No one really cares about Will Smith returning, Just make another Deadshot and move on.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we'll see how that plays out in the future and how the Birds of Prey movie does, and whether that ties in. So it's going to be a weird few years where to see how that plays out, because I feel like they're going to end up falling back into the shared universe.
Yeah, because I suppose they might look at it as being comfortable.
Yeah, and they're gonna feel more comfortable, and they're gonna, as I was saying to Nathan the other night when we went to see Shazam again, I'm praying to God that Joker is R. Because it cannot be PG-13. That movie has to be R.
It's disturbing enough to.
The trailer was disturbing enough to.
It should push it. It should push it above the American PG.
But if DC is truly still going to have a sort of cohesiveness in their universe and is still trying to market it towards people who perhaps aren't familiar with a lot of the comics and who might get confused by having a standalone Joker and then a cinematic universe Joker. Will they force all the movies to be PG-13, including the standalone ones? And will they end up having movies like Birds of Prey and The Suicide Squad and The Batman, which technically aren't sequels to Batman vs. Superman and Suicide Squad and so on, but still take place in the same universe and still have enough connections that you're still connected to that rotten foundation that I hate so much and that they need to move away from?
I think you're
Did
going to be
any of
disappointed.
that make sense? I've been rambling for 2 hours.
I think they could. I think they have the opportunity to move away from it, and I think it. I still think it just comes from them pulling an Incredible Hulk and acting like it never happened.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. I hate to bring the party down. They're not going to do it.
No, they're not. I think the closest we're going to get is them Incredible Hulking it and just acting like it didn't happen.
The only thing is here is, as you said before, James, if Zack Snyder's a producer on all of these films, are they going to have to tiptoe around the fact that they don't want to upset him by saying your work is shit?
Yeah.
He is the elephant in the room that's stopping them from moving away.
Yeah.
He is the chain on like their ankles here.
Yeah, exactly. And at best, they'll Incredible Hulk it and say those things didn't really happen. We still have some of the same cast members and playing the same characters. But at worst, we'll end up with a lot of movies that pretend to be standalone, but are just in fact all stemming from Man of Steel.
And I guess as long as we ignore...
And Joker is really... We'll see when it comes out, but Joker is really the linchpin here. Whereas if it does tie into The Batman, or if it does somehow spawn a sequel, that's when things will start falling apart again. Because I want Joker to be self-contained, R-rated, one and done. That's it. Because apparently little Bruce Wayne is in the movie, and I don't want them to then make a... Well, this Bruce Wayne didn't end up,
Come on. How many times do we have to see Batman's parents get murdered?
Exactly. And so this is why I'm kind of worried now. I don't want them to I don't want any. I don't
It's
want
another
any
backdoor
sequels,
origin movie for
connections.
Batman.
Yeah, and that's why that news about the Batman possibly being a prequel is troubling, because then it's like, well, are they cast Ben Affleck as an older kind of meaner Batman. Now they can't are they worried about recasting him with a younger guy? So then they're like, well, we'll set in the 90s and then we'll get rid of that problem. And it's like, no, I don't want that. Ignore Batman vs Superman. It doesn't exist.
Well, they can't
cast another actor, move on, make a standalone
Cast
Batman.
as already Batman. Forget about the origin
Yeah.
story. Just have a brand new guy's Batman solving a murder mystery. or
Exactly,
something.
but have no connections to any other movie. Just like have
Like, don't look at Henry Cavill. Don't think about Henry Cavill.
No,
Give him a Robin.
Because the Justice League movies are dead in the water anyway, right? Considering that Ben Affleck has left the role, it's practically very difficult to continue those threads.
Yes.
Like I said, it's the Incredible Hulk situation. Edward Norton left, so they don't exist. Also, the MCU doesn't own the rights to the Hulk, so...
Yeah.
Hey, look, we've got Endgame coming up soon, so let's not feel too upset.
We still- the Marvel movies-
Kevin Feige,
Feige,
he still loves us, so that's fine.
Yeah.
And the Russo brothers, by God, they do the Lord's
The
work.
Marvel movies, we still have them at least.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm hoping from the DC movies. They have the ability to be different from Marvel by not doing a cinematic universe, by not always making kid-friendly stuff, by making Elseworld weird alternative versions of heroes that we won't get to see in the Marvel universe. If they can do that, great. If they're worried about confusing people and worried about marketing to kids, and so they kind of nerf everything and push everything into one lane, then we're going to see the same problems that we've been seeing in the previous films. So yeah, this is just a lot of my wishful thinking and so on. But yeah.
Like always, if any Hollywood executives are out there, we're always happy to rewrite scripts.
Yeah, send us your scripts on Twitter and post them. 100 was it 240 characters?
And let's just slide into our DMs with
Just
a paste bin link.
240 characters at a time. Just really the script, and we'll rewrite it for you.
And we are all out of time.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Alex, for joining us tonight.
Not a problem.
Plug your show.
I have a podcast. It's called Mike's Camera Action. You can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/MCA podcast. You can find us on Shout Engine, also at MCA podcast. Just search us on...
Google it.
Yeah, Google it. If it's not our podcast, it's not us, please leave me alone.
You can like and share the Tuesday Review Facebook page.
Yep.
Follow us on Twitter at Tuesday Review AU, and rate, review, and subscribe to us on iTunes.
Yeah.
You can find all of our previous episodes on your favorite podcasting apps.
Follow me on Instagram at Channel Drifter. And all the links are in the description. So thank you everyone for listening.
And adios, cousins.